3 o'clock on this Monday afternoon. Welcome aboard the Postgame Show, and a happy Veterans Day to all. The excitement of what was going on in downtown Columbia has waned just a bit. And this being a government town, a lot of folks enjoying the rest of the afternoon off. But we always appreciate what everybody has done to make this country an amazing place where guys like Elijah and me and dudes that cover sports all over the country get to do this for a living. Thank you to the veterans, especially a big salute to my fantastic father-in-law, Dale Shelley, on this Veterans Day 2024. We'll get into a few of those things for you, obviously, throughout the course of the afternoon. We'll spend a lot of time on Gamecock football. If you are into chaos, then, my friends, it has arrived in the Southeastern Conference. Not just on the desk of Greg Sankey, but again, they missed out on Texas Cage Match as a way to determine who plays.
All they had to do was listen to the show.
That's
all they had to do.
That's it.
We have been given that and putting it on a T forum.
I mean,
all summer and trying to determine what your tiebreakers are, because now you've loaded up the conference and you don't play the same division schedule.
Yeah.
So you needed, an extra tiebreaker. We had them. We gave them plenty of options.
Well, we got lots of. We had some more. We had a loser leaves town game. It felt like in Baton Rouge. Maybe. It feels like we might have one this weekend in Athens. Maybe. Could be one in a couple of weeks in College Station when the Horns and Aggies play. Maybe. I don't know.
That one might be for a ticket to Atlanta.
I don't know.
And actually, it's looking more likely that game will have a ticket to Atlanta on the line.
It is looking that way, yes.
Looking that way.
But
it looked like Miami was going to go cruise their way to undefeated season in the ACC championship game.
Georgia Tech.
It looked that way.
And Georgia Tech ran for like 200 and something yards again, right?
Oh, I think at one point in the game they ran 45 times and threw 8 passes.
Yeah.
I thought Paul Johnson left.
I know, right? I was going to say the same thing, man. It's like, hey, Paul Johnson's back. All right. Oh, no, it's not him.
Just kidding.
But we'll spend the bulk of our time today on the South Carolina Gamecocks' performance against Vanderbilt up in Music City. 28-7 final score. Pretty indicative, I think. South Carolina, even when the game was scoreless, I know the Gamecocks missed an early field goal, but even when the game was scoreless, South Carolina never seemed to be in any real trouble. Now, you can't let that linger, obviously, and it didn't. South Carolina ends up scoring and then scoring some more, and it's 14-0, and then it's 14-7, and then the Gamecocks shut the door. Just another dominant performance by this Gamecock defense. 6 tackles for loss, 2 sacks on the night, just constant pressure on Diego Pavia. Look, the touchdown he scored was all about him, and he's a fantastic player. Still love that kid. And I kind of hope he wins his lawsuit, if only because I want to see guys like that hang around college football, because I don't think there's much of a future for him at the next level. But you want to be excited by talent like that at this level. And I think that kid is really, really good. But Vandy averaged less than 4 yards per carry. Pavia, again, just under constant pressure, 16 of 31 on the night through the air. The guys in the middle of that defensive line, the way that Clayton and his staff can rotate bodies, Vanderbilt just couldn't find an answer for that Gamecock D-line. No matter what they tried to do, they really just couldn't. Then you flip the ball to the other side, and it was the Simon Sanders Sellers show, which is a lot of fun to say, Elijah Campbell. I love alliteration. And that's what I came up with yesterday, Simon Sanders Sellers show. Lenoris was 14 of 20 through the air, 238 yards, 2 touchdowns. The highlight play, the microcosm play of the season thus far is the scramble, nearly done at the goal line, races around the left side, throws a 50-yard pass. Well, it's just, I was like, man, you can't bring the guy down. You just can't bring the guy down. And I don't see anybody being able – I mean, look, eventually you will, right? And look, I'll say this too. Lenoris had one of those plays again Saturday night. Trying to do a little too much. Don't want to say got cute, but you got to protect the football. And you got 3 or 4 things racing through your head. And so when that came back, you're like, uh-oh. But a couple plays later, Gamecock defense forces a turnover by Vandy, and it was basically a push. Right there, right? Just not all that big a deal. But again, don't let that happen too often. I'll just say that much. Lenore's also had 13 carries for 38 yards. Josh Simon, 3 catches, 40 yards, had that big touchdown early. Dude continues to make plays. Again, only 3 receptions. That was tied for the most. I think Harbor, Larvidan also had 3.
Harbor, Simon, Larvidan.
Yeah. But then Raheem Sanders was just brilliant. Just absolutely brilliant. 15 carries, 126 yards, 8.4 per carry, 2 touchdowns on the ground, 2 catches for 52 yards, including a 3rd score. It was his night. I texted my good friend Deuce Staley during the game, and I said, hey, this Sanders kid reminds me of that guy that played at Airport and used to work at our radio station. Remember him? That was pretty fun. I had fun with that, if nothing else. Sure, I might have left out the SEC and NFL years, but, I mean, he knew who I was talking about. So that was
The high school one was a good clue.
Yeah. Just making sure he knew who it was. He figured it out. The offensive line was getting a push on a routine basis. Gamecocks 9 of 12 on 3rd down. I know you were in the room. I want you to describe for people in just a minute the look on Shane's face. I don't know that Shane knew until he had the stat sheet in front of him how they had done on 3rd down, but I know you were there to see it. Mm-hmm. Beyond that, and look, I'll get sappy or philosophical or whatever here for a second, but the spirit of this team was on full display. We talked last week and asked somewhat rhetorically, will Shane and the staff use the fact that South Carolina wasn't ranked last week as some form of motivation? They did. There's no question they did. To what degree? I don't know. I don't care. You got to go out and win the football game, but Vandy has played well against good teams. They've beaten Alabama. They went toe-to-toe with Texas for a bit. They took Missouri to double overtime. They beat Virginia Tech earlier this season. They won on the road at Kentucky and Auburn. And South Carolina just dominated them. But I think a lot of it wasn't just the talent disparity, which is there and was on display. But I think South Carolina was like, oh, yeah? Okay. Here we go. Watch us play football now, America. And 6-win teams and feel-good stories and weren't supposed to be here type things. See what we can do. And I do think Shane can continue through the course of the season now, even with South Carolina being ranked this week. And they will likely be in the CFP rankings tomorrow night, the ones that matter now. But you can still use the nobody believed in us thing. And so for another week, as Elijah was pointing out, Kirby is so jealous.
Fuming.
But Shane absolutely can use that. And you're going to need to, because I'm here to tell you now, I have no evidence of this, but I firmly believe that Eli Drinkwitz and his Missouri staff have been prepping for their trip to Columbia for longer than just starting yesterday. All right? I genuinely believe that. How much? I don't know. But he knows the importance. And Eli, Saturday to Cole Kubelik basically said, yeah, we're still in the playoff hunt. You heard me say it. And then he kind of, mic dropped. I was like, all right, that's what he's bringing to Columbia. That's what he's telling his team. All you got to do is win, and we're going to the playoff. Not just this game, but all we got to do is win, and then win again, and then we're going to the playoff. Is he right? I don't know. We'll see. He might have added a little pressure to his team, but South Carolina may also have a little more fuel for their team. So it could be one of those things. It could mean absolutely nothing. You haven't beaten Missouri in 6 years. That monsoon game. Still remember that one. Never forget it. Long as I live, man. Crazy. One of the craziest days I've ever spent at Williams-Brice Stadium. You got to make it happen. You can do special things here. You can go 5-3 in conference. Nobody was picking you to do that. If anything, 3-5 tops.
Yeah.
So you got a chance. Now, you're not going to have a losing record. You have a chance to have a winning record. You have a chance to do some good things here relative to expectations. They got to go make it happen. But they made a statement again. You can say whatever you want. It's just Vanderbilt. This is a different Vanderbilt. Mm-hmm. But this is now a South Carolina team really growing in to what they want to be.
I mean, Alabama and Texas went to that same stadium. One lost and one only won by one possession.
Right.
That should tell you how good South Carolina has played and is playing at this very moment. What's one thing, Jay, that you say all the time about building a program, right? You need
More good players.
Well, you have good players, but the depth maybe hasn't been what it is for other contenders in college football and in the SEC. That might be what you can say maybe separates you from some of those. Well, before the game, DQ Smith gets hurt in warm-ups.
Yeah.
So now Peyton Williams has to step in. He had 2 pass breakups, which led the team, and he had one of the highest coverage grades on Pro Football Focus on this team. He played an incredible game. Josiah Thompson gets hurt in the first half. Trey Babalade steps in, was your highest graded run blocker and pass blocker, and on multiple occasions made the way for big plays for Rocket Sanders runs, including a touchdown. That's what really good football teams do. That's what great, deep football teams do, is they have some injuries. They fill them in with players who just step up and have a next man up mentality. You're seeing a ton of growth on this team right now with the run, especially the run blocking. The run blocking was incredible. A lot of those runs that Rocket Sanders had came on the left side with someone like Tree or Kamar Bell. Vershawn Lee had a great run blocking game, and they're blocking in the perimeter as well. That I went back and I think I watched that Rocket Sanders receiving touchdown on the screen at least 30 times today, just watching everybody. There was everybody that was eligible to block on that pass, blocked and had a hat on a hat. And that's how you end up scoring a touchdown right there. They just went in, they took care of business, they bullied Vanderbilt up front, and they did what we thought other teams would be doing to Vanderbilt this year, going into their house and being the more physical team, more talented team, and showing it. No one's been able to do that against Vanderbilt this year. This South Carolina team did, and it's got a swagger and a confidence about them right now that is so much more different than it was even at the beginning of the season after some really big wins. This time, these last few have really shown that they don't just belong in, maybe the middle class of the SEC, but they're competing at a level that after the Ole Miss game, I don't think anybody would have believed.
I agree with you. And there are people who make a living covering this sport that work outside of our area code and outside of all the area codes of our state that are saying, don't sleep on this team. Mm-hmm. This is one of the better teams you're going to see in college football. And if it weren't for a couple of possessions, you're probably, if all things are equal. And I know I come back around to what I've said about the Ole Miss game, too. We know what happened in the Alabama and LSU losses, and the Ole Miss game was different, starting to maybe have to reformulate again, which is the beauty of this sport sometimes, just how good Mississippi is, because they looked really strong the last couple of weeks and certainly in what they did to the Georgia Bulldogs. And why is Georgia struggling so much, too? Those are things we'll discuss throughout the afternoon and this week, especially ahead of that Georgia-Tennessee game, which, again, could be some form of elimination game. We'll find that out depending on all the other results. But Clark Lee seemed, I think, genuinely surprised at how thoroughly his team was dominated in his postgame. He really seemed to have a look on his face of, I thought we would be able to do more than this, because they never got anything going.
No, at all. I mean, it was one of those things like Vanderbilt's game plan going into every game, right, is dominate time of possession by extending drives on offense. Their average third down length was 9 yards.
Yeah.
They had 9 possessions in this game, Jay Phillips. 5 ended in punts, 2 ended in turnover on downs, and 1 resulted in a fumble. They only had 1 drive the entire game that didn't result in a fumble or a turnover. 1.
Yeah.
And that was a miraculous touchdown scored by Diego Pavia, where he pulled a rabbit out of his hat.
He did, man. And again, that's why I want to give credit to that kid, because he finally found his one, because he was trying. He was trying.
But South Carolina wasn't letting him.
No.
And that poor kid, I felt like legitimate empathy in the press box, trying to put myself in that kid's shoes, because he was getting murdered. I mean, the last thing I would want on a football field is to have a face full of Kyle Kennard, Dylan Stewart, and the 7 different players for South Carolina that had credits for quarterback hurries and pressures. Because those hurries and pressures weren't just having someone in your face, it was them hitting you, right? And he got crushed on a couple of those. And that's just one of those things, like, Diego Pavia is a tough kid, and he's not going to have many bad days to look back on in his career. He's going to look back on that and have physical pain from the PTSD that will trigger.
I wouldn't disagree with you there. Lots more to do as we cover Carolina football. Sound from Shane and the players. Take a look around what happened in the conference and across college football, and certainly a lot going on Veterans Day 2024. It's the postgame show. Oh, the holiday season is basically here, at least by, judgment of commercials on television and things like that. No, it's getting really close here, and that means big-time football matches coming up, both college and pro. Basketball season is underway. Hockey fans, you're loving it. Soccer fans, you're loving it. If you love holiday movies and shows, hey, they're already out there, right? Do it all better with integrated media. Beautiful state-of-the-art HD TVs, amazing Dolby Atmos sound systems. What a great way to brighten the holidays now and for years to come. Maybe a great gift idea for that significant someone in your life to upgrade the home theater experience or even take it outside. That's right, equipment that's meant to be out there all the time, even in our South Carolina weather. Call them up. Get them into the house. They're awesome at what they do. 803-948-8327. Brighten the holidays and the new year with one call to my good friends at Integrated Media.
Down and two. Pavia in the pocket. Under pressure. Ball is batted up in the air and incomplete. Great blitz by Bam. Martin Scott.
One of many big stops for South Carolina on Saturday. Welcome back to the Postgame Show. I'm Elijah Campbell. And, of course, today is also Veterans Day. We're celebrating the men and women of our own armed forces who have helped make the ultimate sacrifice to, like what Jay said in the first segment, help us celebrate the freedoms that we do today. And we have a couple of very special guests in the studio right now. Gene and Debbie Royer from All American Heating and Air. Not just heating and air experts, but they're also veterans themselves. Gene, Debbie, thank you guys so much for being able to come in. It's an honor to get to talk to you guys on a day like today, because I know this means a whole lot to both of you.
Yes, it does. Thank you for inviting us, too.
Yeah, absolutely. And we got you guys on camera as well. So for those who are watching on the YouTube stream right now on the Game TV, Gene and Debbie are in studio with us, which makes these a lot more special too. But I'll go ahead and ask both of you guys, which branch in the military did you serve in? I'd be remiss if I didn't get that question out first.
I was Army National Guard.
Okay.
I was Army.
Army National Guard. Awesome.
No,
All right.
I was regular Army.
Army. Okay. Yeah, Army and then Army National Guard. So on a day like today, and you guys are obviously very invested in the veteran community, especially here in Columbia. And you guys do a good job putting your money where your mouth is in this regard. But what does a day like today mean to both of you?
Everything. I've got two brothers that are pretty much disabled from Vietnam. And my whole family was military, basically. From my dad, my granddad was all Army, too. And I've always been taught to respect that flag because there's a lot of blood from it.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got a lot of veterans out here that, we're lucky. This is a Veterans Day, so we can congratulate the living today. And, if it wasn't for these veterans, we wouldn't be sitting here talking to you on this mic.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Absolutely. And Debbie?
Yes, I feel the same way. My father was a veteran, and we had 6 girls in our family. None of us were in the active military until I got older and was in the Guard. But we instilled in our children bringing up the veterans, bringing up them to respect the veterans. And they always did a little skit at their school every year with the empty chair for the veteran that did not, for the soldier who did not return, the white table. You might be familiar with that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am, absolutely. And one thing that I like about you guys, obviously, is you're sponsoring all of our content today. We're really appreciative of that. But you guys do a whole lot more in terms of serving the veterans as well, like yourselves here in the community. So I just want to give you a platform right now to be able to tell other people how they can also help, not just celebrate the veterans here on Veterans Day, but to be able to give back to some causes that you guys are very into as well.
One of our biggest causes, if I can talk about the Vets Christmas Charity Ride, it's our 24th year. It's easy to remember because we started in 2000, so it's always easy to remember what year it is, and that's coming up December the 8th of this year. So that's the way the entire community, whether you have a motorcycle or not, can participate by giving gifts. And you can look up what kind of gifts to give the hospitalized veterans on vetsride.org, Columbia.
All right. And I'd be remiss, too, because we talk a lot of college football on the show. Army's undefeated.
I heard.
Isn't that pretty cool?
That's pretty cool.
Isn't that pretty cool?
We just talked about
And, of course, we have Army and then Army National Guard here as well. So, I mean, the Army-Navy game, is that something that you guys get to watch every year as well in terms of being able to get to enjoy that on a yearly basis? And have you been to one, too? I also want to throw that out. Have you guys gotten to go to one in person?
No.
We haven't been to one of those,
to.
but we do watch them. I'd love to go to one.
But both of them's rated. Did it rank?
Yeah. Navy only has one loss.
Yeah.
They're both awesome.
It's the first time, and I think they said 85 years. They've both been.
Both ranked at the same
That's a long time. I was not around then.
Awesome.
I was definitely not around then for that. That's going to be so exciting. And there's still a possibility they can play in their conference championship game, then do Army-Navy the next week, which would be even better. So
that would be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. But I appreciate you guys coming in. I know this is a really big deal for both of you guys, and it's a very important day. And if there's anything else you guys want to be able to tell people that are listening right now, again, any other causes they can donate to, any other events that you guys have going on, more than welcome to go ahead and tell the people right now.
You got a lot of other stuff. You got homeless veterans. Mm-hmm. There's so much stuff out there for the veterans, but the main problem with the veterans is when you go to help them, veterans are proud.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them don't want to ask for it. So sometimes you got to dig a little bit. So, and I even know some of my buddies that's needed help, but they're too proud to say something. So if you're talking to veterans, see if you can get to them, see where they're coming from. Because that veteran's got a lot of stories he can tell you, especially the old guys.
That's where listening comes into play too, and really trying to put yourself in their shoes. You never able to actually do that because of those experiences. But definitely, and even like on that regard too, what would be something that you could tell somebody who may be worried about a friend or family member that is a veteran on a day like today to be able to support them?
Well, again, when I think of veterans, I think of older veterans, but there are a lot of veterans that aren't old, and they may not have the support of someone coming by their house to see them. Just like with any elderly person, if you're thinking of the older veterans from the older wars, go by and see them. Go check on them. Because like Gene said, they're proud, and they're not going to reach out to you likely. So go by and see them or invite them to go to something with you, whether it's breakfast, anything you're going to, invite them to go. Go pick them up, take them back home. They would love that.
I was watching the Veterans Parade here in Columbia this morning on TV, and I was just seeing how many veterans were out there watching that parade. And that made me feel good because veterans are there to support veterans too. And even though they need help, they're still there to help their fellow man and fellow veteran. It's an unwritten brotherhood, basically, as a veteran. Because people don't understand when, we got all this yelling and all this commotion in politics and stuff. Well, we're lucky we have that. And it's because our veterans. So, and that's what I try to get down to people, It's not all that, think of your veterans.
Yes,
think
sir.
of your veterans. So we're willing to do this to be where we're at so I can talk to you fairly without going to prison and stuff. More people got to understand that. And the more they can talk to veterans, I think the better it is. Because we got a lot of veterans out there that need help.
Yes, sir, absolutely. And thank you guys again, not just for coming in and being able to talk to me about this today, but thank you for your service as well. And it's a great day for today to be able to honor the service that you guys gave us. And like you said, Gene, be able to have the freedom to be able to talk about this in the manner in which we do. So that's Gene and Debbie Royer. Thank you both so much for everything.
Thank you.
Absolutely. We'll continue on the show on the other side. Jay will hop back in. We'll go ahead and break down more of that big South Carolina win against Vanderbilt. Went to Nashville and took care of business. That was impressive, wasn't it?
Yes.
Fantastic performance for the Gamecocks. We'll get into that. We'll get your thoughts as well. 803-404-6100. You're listening to a Veterans Day version of the Postgame Show. Awesome. Quick word, my friends over at Prize Picks. Look, there's no better way. This football season, this basketball season, this hockey season, this anything season, to be able to cash in on your knowledge than Prize Picks. Prize Picks is not just America's #1 favorite fantasy sports app. It's my favorite daily fantasy sports app. And look, for many reasons. Injury insurance. A player goes down in the first half, they can't come back in the second. Well, your lineup can still be live. Fear not. They also have flex play, which means you can still cash in on some of your winnings, even if you do get one wrong. Look, Prize Picks is super easy. It's not overly complicated. No crazy point system. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. And look, if you watched that Sunday Night Football game last night and you took more on Jared Goff interceptions, you'd be making yourself a lot of money. But download the app today. All joking aside, download the app today. Use promo code 1075GAME. Get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game.
Coming into an environment against a top 25 team that, has had some huge wins this season. It's a really good football team. And to come on the road and, perform like we did, knowing it was going to be tough, just proud of the response. Anytime the defense's backs were against the wall from a field position standpoint, they stepped up and got stops. When the offense needed to answer, whether it be the beginning of the second half or after we gave up a touchdown, they answered. So just a great team win to get that 6th win and continue to get better.
Shane Beamer, postgame, South Carolina 28-7 victors over Vanderbilt. Final conference game of the season coming up this week. South Carolina with a chance to get a winning record in SEC play if they can beat Missouri. Gamecocks installed as heavy favorites. The line has quickly moved down. I'm not surprised. I told Elijah I was thinking this line was going to be 6, 7, 8, something like that. Missouri is a good football team. I know they've been kind of skating by, skin of their teeth kind of wins. Saturday, it was just bizarre.
Well, they got a gift. Yeah. They received a very pleasant gift from the Sooners of Oklahoma.
4 touchdowns scored in that game in the final 3.5 minutes of that game.
2 of them were scooping scores.
Just crazy, man. And Mizzou gets the go-ahead with, 20-something seconds left on the clock. But I thought this game would be more like Missouri +8. That was kind of where my head was. Again, opened Missouri +14. It is now Missouri +11. So money quickly flowing that direction. Doesn't mean, listen, again, spreads. If I had a nickel, right, through my career, spreads are not predictions. Spreads, again, are numbers used and designed to part you from your money. They're good at it.
Yeah, that's why the building's so big.
They're good at it.
So fancy.
But the FPI is more of a predictor, and it's about 70-30 in favor of South Carolina at this point in time. If South Carolina continues to do what it's doing, that's going to be the thing. It has to be. If South Carolina just continues to play that kind of smothering defense and makes life a living hell for an opposing quarterback, like they did to Diego Pavia on Saturday, then you'll beat Missouri. But the thing that concerns me, and I want to talk more about Vandy in a second, but it's hard not to begin to look ahead here to the final conference game at the same time. Love him, hate him, think whatever you will of him, but Eli Drinkwitz is a really good football coach. And they're going to scheme things up in a way that, they'll do everything they can to run away from the things that South Carolina does best defensively. Now, maybe you can only do so much of that before it finally catches up with you. If Cook can't go and Pine is still out there, that I do believe that alters what Missouri will be able to do. South Carolina will certainly take a long look at what the Oklahoma defense did Saturday up in Como. And try to use that as some form of blueprint, at least to some degree, I would think. But I wasn't kidding earlier, Elijah, when I said he's been scheming for this game. When Eli's a lot like Will Muschamp, I think. Like, yes, you have to prep for that week's team, but when you have, dare I say, free time, Eli's in the film room looking at whatever. Even if the rest of the staff might actually go out and play a round of golf every once in a while, although you really can't in the season. But you know what I mean. Eli's
never watched a movie that is not a football movie.
I'd love to know,
film.
like how many, just things like that. But big opportunity, certainly, for South Carolina. But to come back around to the other night, those of you who missed our show open, again, in my notes, what did I say here? Because I got to make sure I wrote it down the right way here. The Simon Sanders Seller Show.
Yes, Simon Sanders Seller Show.
Yeah.
Say that 5 times fast.
You can't. So it's really
impossible.
It's really hard. Nick Harbor made some really nice catches. We had a caller last week asking what his role was going to be. Would it diminish? The caller even asked, in a good way, I guess, for as much as you can say this in a good way or ask in a good way, at what point does he become a liability? And you and I both agreed, as did a lot of our experts and or beat writers on the show last week when we brought that up. Look, Shane and Dowell and Mike Furry aren't going to let it get to a point of liability. Mm-hmm. These are smart enough men and good enough guys at their job to look and go, hey, it ain't happening. It is happening. It's going to be slow, missing spring ball does matter. We talked about that last week, but he's a big body out there. He wants to learn. He's eager to get better. He's coachable. And I think that's the biggest thing. He didn't come in here, I'm five-star Nick Harper. You will throw me the football at least 20 times a game or something like that. He's not doing that.
No.
Some of the things he's doing without the football are also very good, but I'm glad that he had a nice night. Again, Gage Larvadan had a couple of nice catches, so Lenoris is still able to spread it around. But the Gamecocks, listen, if you can keep Rocket Sanders doing what he's doing, defense and ground game, man. I mean, I know those are recipes for success in this sport for decade upon decade. There's a reason for that, and right now South Carolina's got it working on both sides.
Yeah, I mean, we're slowly getting to the point where they're playing like the most complete football we could have ever imagined, like with this group, right? I mean, what were some of the things, even like offensively, while, 28 points is a really good output and it might not like pop off the page as like an offensive explosion, you still hit on a lot of big plays. You got efficient. That's, I think, the thing with this offense, what happened on Saturday was you saw the most efficient this offense can be. Jay Phillips, they had, I believe, 6. I'm looking back right now, 6 third downs, or 6 third and shorts, which is any third down between 1 and 4. They converted every one of single one of those. They got into third and shorts 6 times. They played Vanderbilt's game plan better than Vanderbilt played Vanderbilt's game plan, right? They got into a bunch of third and shorts. They continuously moved the chains. And I gave the stat about Vanderbilt's drives, right? They had 9 drives, and 8 of them ended in punt or turnover. For South Carolina, they had 8 drives during this game, real drives. Technically, they're counted for 10 because of 2 that ended in kneel downs. So we don't count those. Those are not real drives.
Okay.
8 real drives. You scored touchdowns on half of those, and 1 at least ended in a field goal attempt.
Right.
So you only had 2 punts and the 1 fumble. So 5 of your 8 real drives were either touchdowns or a look to score 3 points. Now, the conditions, I think, maybe caused Alex to miss that kick the way that he did. Maybe not, kicking the field goal out there is a little risky just because of those conditions. It was wet. It was gross.
Yeah.
It was gross out there. But efficiently, this offense is operating, and you found the easy buttons whenever you need to pick up 5 or 6 yards. They've shown they can do that, and this offensive line has made significant growth in the run blocking department.
Well, let's hear from Shane on that. Cut number 12 on today's list, please, sir. Here is Shane on that very subject of what the guys up front are getting better at.
Huge. That's a good front. They're better than last year. 96 is a really good player on the edge. 5 is a load inside. They make it hard to run the ball, and they're good at linebacker, and they got size in the secondary. So it was going to be hard to run the ball tonight, and not a lot of teams have scored a lot of points against these guys outside of Alabama, and really good job of our guys doing that. And pass protection was great. It seemed like, for the most part, Lenoris was able to sit in there tonight and had time to throw.
Again, yes, there was an injury up front. We'll assess that further this week. Shane will have more to say on that tomorrow. First availability report will be announced on Wednesday night. I did like that Rocket called a big tree.
Big tree.
Big tree. Was that your question? I can't remember. I know you asked a couple of questions in there, and I couldn't remember. The crowd mic I couldn't hear as well on the reporter question, so I can't remember he was answering your question when he used the name Big Tree.
He might have. Yeah, I'm trying to think.
I can't remember.
I asked.
But it was like Big Tree. I was like, there you go, cool.
Love it. Yeah. He played like a big tree that can move because that guy got on the perimeter and made some plays. He was good.
Let me get one more on that one. Let's get to right after number 13. Just more on how Lenoris looked on Saturday night.
Fantastic. Just making good decisions, poised back there, confident, running the ball, the physicality that he ran with. When he did get some pressure, being able to scramble and make plays, throwing the ball, the play to JB, Jared Brown was huge over there to start the second half, and the throw to Josh on the touchdown. He just continues to get better, and he's a fantastic player who gets better each and every week.
No sacks once again for the Gamecock offense, and Vandy did get 5 tackles for loss in the ball game, but that's 2 in a row there where Lenoris is not getting sacked. Now, again, the one pressure early in the game, fumbled the football, Carolina got it back. No big deal in the grand scheme of things.
How nice is it to have a defense that, we just fumbled in our own territory. Let's just go do the same thing they did.
Just go get it. That was, and again, basically a wash. I think that, I want to say that drive was starting at the 20, and then Carolina got the ball back at the 19. Am I right about that?
Mm-hmm. There's a really funny element. I don't know if you've noticed this on that play yet. So the left tackle for Vanderbilt, as soon as the play starts, he turns his head to see if there's any pressure coming in between him and the guard. And he doesn't turn his head for long. But by the time that head turns back, Kyle Kennard's on his opposite shoulder and is about to rip the ball out of Diego Pavia's hands. If there's anyone I don't want to keep my eyes off on a pass rush, it's Kyle bleeping Kennard, because he's going to do just that. I thought it was just, I watched it several times where he doesn't turn his head for long. It's not like he's staring a hole at his left guard, but as soon as he turns his head for just a split second and turns it back, Kyle Kennard is gone. He is not there to be blocked anymore.
I'm sure I'm not the first to think about this, but when I was watching the game again yesterday, and I even watched some highlights again this morning, and I've just reiterated to myself how interesting it is that numbers 5 and 6 on both sides are such premier players. Have you thought of that yet?
That thought hasn't even entered my mind until now, and it broke my brain a little bit.
Yeah, it kind of did mine. I was like, so 5 and 6 on offense are like basically the two big. Other than the quarterback, and 5 and 6 on defense. Like, it's just numerologists out there.
Your best players are 5 and 6. Which ones? Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Plenty more to do as we discuss Carolina and Vanderbilt on this Veterans Day 2024. It's the postgame show. 11 minutes in front of 4 o'clock on this Monday afternoon. Welcome back into the postgame show. Join us as we talk Carolina Vandy, 803-404-6100 to be a part of the program. Got a lot more college football to discuss. Chaos across the Southeastern Conference, some of which occurred
Across the country.
Hey, really, that's true. But some of which occurred because of Ole Miss's win over Georgia, 28-10 final score. Don't know if it was that close.
No.
Georgia was BAD bad. Man.
I mean, when was the last time you've ever seen a Georgia team get whipped up front like that? I mean, it was just a domination of the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I mean, when Alabama has beaten Georgia at its best the last few years, it's because Alabama's played well up front. But even then, it doesn't feel like they were just getting beat.
It never looked like that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, even, like you said, even in the times that Alabama's won in these games, as the only team that has beaten Georgia since, 2020?
Yes.
Hasn't looked like that. That was what Georgia has done to other teams the past 4 years, is what Ole Miss did to them.
But if you haven't seen it yet, and at first I was like, okay, so the first time I just saw it for a second go by, and I was like, that's not like somebody just dressed as a Georgia player, is it? But no, it's not. If you, by now, many of you have. If not, go type in, God bless him, the name Jake Pope, and the video will pop up. Jake Pope is a reserve safety for UGA. Transferred in after a couple of years at Alabama. He is from Buford High School in Georgia, and there's now video of him that has unfortunately gone viral that shows him on the field in the mass hysteria after the win, jumping up and down, smiling and celebrating with folks, which, again, was why at first I was like, what am I looking at here? And so then you have to do a little more of a deep dive, and you find out, yep, that's a Georgia football player, all right. So Kirby Smart does his press conferences on Monday. And we don't have the audio of it yet because this just came down. He said of young Mr. Pope, again, bless his heart, what an idiot. I mean, just stupid. I didn't see it until today, but he's embarrassed about it. He's upset about it. That's obviously a childhood friend of his that he grew up with and played with there at Buford, and he knows him. Hadn't seen him in forever, but just not real smart. To be honest with you, I don't have time to waste energy on that. My focus is on Tennessee. I'm not worried about that. I didn't know until Kirby said any of this that this is somebody that he knew growing up. Pope has sent out a statement saying he was, quote, sorry for the way it was taken out of perspective and has caused distractions and commotion for my teammates. This is not representative of who I am in any way. In no way, shape, or form would I ever celebrate a loss in this program, and anyone who knows me well knows that. My longtime family friends had come up to me unexpectedly after the game as I was trying to get off the field to safety and were extremely excited to see me after the game. I was also surprised to see them as well, and that's why you saw the reaction that I gave via the video. Lastly, and once again, I'm sorry to my teammates, coaches, and fans all around about the way that video looked, and I choose to move forward and get ready for a great rest of the season with my brothers. All right. I mean, I'm
cool, dude.
I'm buying all that, I guess. But like, why are you jumping up and down, man?
I was gonna say it wasn't just like like a friendly greeting or gesture. You'd have thought he won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, that's why I said the first time. When I first saw it, I was like, is it like just somebody that, like somebody maybe get a fan's jersey and just wear it? You know, like what do we do? You know, like
it just looked so weird.
He also did say, I am Georgia through thick and thin and have never loved a group of guys more than the guys I go to battle with day in and day out. All right.
Sure.
I mean, that's all right.
I guess.
I don't know what else to say, but if you haven't seen it yet, look. That's why I've said here, and I know I say it in a sort of a joking, I don't want to say mocking way, but again, bless his heart. But that's what we say in the South when you just do something like that. Like, oh boy,
if you're
in it now,
man. Like you know better. Yeah, if it's someone you haven't seen in a long time, they're there to see you play. That's great. Hang around after the game, and we'll talk, and we'll get pictures, and we'll do what literally everyone else does. Right. It's like, I need to go to the locker room. The last thing that should be going through your mind is, oh, yeah, I'm going to celebrate with these people as they're rushing the field after beating us. It's just a bad look. Like, even if it's not that deep, it's a bad look. And as a college football player, you should know that this is exactly the thing that would happen. And now it has become a distraction. It is being talked about in a lot of places. All you had to do was just say, hey, meet me back here after the game. It happens all the time.
Sorry for the way it was taken out of perspective. I
don't know how it can.
Yeah,
actually,
listen, I don't think. I mean, I know what the kid's going for there as he says that, but it really wasn't, dude. You're jumping up and down on the field with a bunch of people who were celebrating your 18-point loss.
I don't know how that's taken out of context by any means. I mean, I think we have all the proper context.
It's again. I see what he's going for, and I'll say for the third time, bless his heart.
Nice try.
I don't know if he's going to play against Tennessee this week.
Or ever.
Or that. Hour 2 of the post-game show is coming up.
Man, time is flying by. Thanksgiving just in a couple weeks. Christmas after that. Time can feel like it's slipping. It does for me all the time. So whenever you say, man, I need to go ahead and start my weight loss journey, and you put it off for tomorrow or maybe the next week, that tomorrow or next week can sometimes turn into a few months. My friends over at Columbia Secret for Weight Loss, if you commit, they help you reach your goal in a timely manner. It's what they did for me, and they have done it for so many people here around the Midlands here for the last year. My friends Paul Grant and Shayna over at Columbia Secret for Weight Loss got me to reach my weight loss goal in less than a month's time. And with Christmas coming up, Thanksgiving coming up, why wait? Go ahead, do so today. Give them a call, 803-824-4210, or hit them up at ColumbiaSecretForWeightLoss.com. Be more than happy to give you a free consultation and be able to tell you why they are a great fit for you. Again, don't just take my word for it. 803-824-4210 or ColumbiaSecretForWeightLoss.com. Results may vary.
23. Sellers out of the gun, going to set up screen right side, got Sanders, got some blockers out there. Rocket inside the 30, 25, Rocket going left side, 10, 5, launch him, launch, Rocket Sanders. Touchdown Carolina, touchdown Rocket Sanders from 43 yards out. What a gorgeous play call from Dow Loggins, and the Gamecocks are going to lock this up.
Todd Ellis on the call. That was, I thought Dow had a tremendous game. And South Carolina executing so well. Gamecocks 28-7 victors over the Vanderbilt Commodores. Welcome back in. Second hour of the postgame show coming at you on this Veterans Day 2024. A lot of activity here in downtown Columbia earlier in the day. And again, a big salute to all of those who have served, whether they have passed on or continue to serve to this very day. We appreciate everything that you do that allows us to do this for a living in the greatest country on earth. So happy Veterans Day 2024. Jay and Elijah with you here. A lot more sound to get to from Shane and some of his players. Gamecocks did get into the top 25 in the AP poll.
About damn time.
At number 23, yeah. One spot ahead of Missouri, who didn't move, I guess. Was Missouri ranked last week?
They were.
Yeah.
I've been ranked all year.
So I'll say they didn't fall out, did they? They just have been dropping a little bit, I suppose. But Carolina now one spot ahead of Mizzou. And this, I mean, I don't know, Elijah, if this game has a lot of action on it already. But I told you earlier, Carolina opened at minus 14, which is that I did not see that coming. I thought I told you I thought it'd be about 8.
Being a 2-touchdown favorite.
But almost immediately dropped. Let me see. Hang on here. So they opened at 14. It dropped as low as 11, and I had last looked around 2:00, and it is now back up to 11.5. So I wonder if 11 is that point where we kind of see the lowest for what people wanted to get on this game.
Should be steady at that point, just because like 2 touchdowns is a lot especially for a Missouri offense that might get Brady Cook back.
Money line on this game, minus 500.
Oh wow,
yeah.
It's telling.
I mean, Vegas.
It's telling.
Vegas is going to be like South Carolina is going to win this game.
That's what they're telling us.
Yeah. Over-under is 44.5, by the way. But the money line is minus 500. Or if you want to put it on Missouri, it's plus 360. So
that's a pretty hefty underdog.
But minus 500 is a big. That's. In other words, for those of you, the money line for that, if you want to win $100 on South Carolina, you have to bet $500. And if you bet $100 on Missouri, you'll win $360 if they win the game.
In other words, just betting on South Carolina to win is not worth your time because they have such a big point.
Yeah, that's not your play.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you're feeling frisky on that spread, we'll see. 14 felt big.
Yeah.
14 felt big. Now, maybe Carolina goes and dominates the way they did against Vandy and A&M.
I mean, here's
that's
the thing,
trend. And Oklahoma.
The only sample size we have of Missouri playing ranked teams this year, they were outscored by doing quick math on the radio, not a great deal.
No, I know it was
75 to 10.
75 to 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those the 2 ranked teams they played.
And that's their 2 losses.
And they were not competitive.
No, they were not.
I mean, it wasn't remotely close.
Well, they got shut out. They got shut out against Bama, and I know they had one early touchdown called back, and you wonder if that would have changed a little bit of the dynamic in College Station.
Yeah, it felt like they quit a little bit after that.
Yeah. So I don't know, but otherwise, I don't think they.
It was a gutless loss. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Because they took that blow of getting the touchdown called back, and then they just didn't. They didn't play the rest of the game. A&M just completely beat them up.
Well,
it was an ugly game.
It was. So they come in here 4:15. Gamecocks and the Missouri Tigers. More on that throughout the week. And again, Coach Beamer, of course, will have his press conference tomorrow at 1:00. That'll be live here on the game in Columbia. Let's get into a little bit more sound from Coach Beamer. Cut number 10, please, sir. Vandy's defense had been playing pretty well through a lot of ball games this year. I think the one exception, maybe Alabama, and Vandy found a way, obviously, to win that game by going 12 of 18 on third down. But what did their defense show South Carolina? Here's Shane Beamer.
It's going to be tough, just the way they play football. They make you earn everything. Coach Lee's a defensive guy. We knew they were going to make us earn it, and they did. We knew the turnover margin was going to be huge. We needed to protect the ball, and we did that for the most part tonight. And you know, first half, felt like we were doing a lot of really good things, and you look up and it's 7-0, and that's just kind of how this team is. And we didn't finish some drives in the first half. We had some penalties that set us back, but we knew the second half to begin with was going to be huge, and kudos for our offense coming out to start the second half like they did.
That's what I was saying earlier, and I think that one of those points he made, it felt like South Carolina was never troubled, if that's the right way to say it. And yet, it was a one-score game. And that is, in and of itself, concerning to some degree when you want to put somebody away. But they just, the Gamecocks, just continued to – the word I used Saturday night in my post-game tweet was methodical. They really just kind of kept attacking the Vandy defense. And you were there. I don't know how much of this was, some were suggesting Vandy got tired. Carolina knew how to do that. I don't know what you saw, and I'm going to lean on you now for a bit in terms of being there in person. But from my perspective, we've seen the growth of this Gamecock football team over the last month in terms of just having more confidence in what it's able to do. And their last 3 games, they haven't just won. They've been absolutely dominant in all 3 of them. There's no question of that. I just think this was the first time where Vandy was challenged like this. I don't know how hard – I'll be careful here. I don't know how hard or how seriously Alabama was playing for a while until they realized, uh-oh. And even then, Texas was pretty dominant against this Vandy team. Vandy scored late to make that game look a little bit closer, but it was still uncomfortable for a while. Mm-hmm. I don't ever think South Carolina got to a point of discomfort in this game.
No, they didn't. I really think on offense especially, there's this South Carolina has figured out a way to utilize the speed to their advantage. They get out on the edge on the perimeter, and then when your perimeter block as well as they did, things are going to open up, and you're going to be able to utilize just every positive aspect that you have. I think they're just faster and stronger than Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's got some good size on the perimeter in terms of having, corners or defensive backs and safeties, nickel corners that have really good size and really good, measurables. But whenever you're able to get a hat on a hat the way they did for a lot of those plays, those big plays in the run game, then you're able to take care of business. And there wasn't many negative plays. That's the other thing too. I think South Carolina just cut out on the negative plays in the run game. How many times this year did we see them run into a wall of humanity? Rocket Sanders would have some of the hardest earned 3-yard runs maybe in college football history at times this year. The run blocking, I think, has just made such an improvement that you can line up against another team in the SEC who has had a lot of success this year and push them around. Quite frankly, you were just stronger and faster than Vanderbilt was, and you dared Vanderbilt to stop you. They just couldn't do it. That's how you get to 6 third and shorts, and then you convert every single one of them. To me, from being there, it just felt like at a certain point, too, South Carolina wasn't relying on a bunch of different eye candy. It kind of got to the point where we're going to line up, we're going to run out to the outside, and you try to stop us. They just couldn't do it.
On one of the points you just made, cut 21, please, sir. Shane Beamer in postgame on how good Carolina was on third down offensively.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. 9 of 12, geez. Knew we had to be. I mean, with this team, they were leading the SEC in time of possession. I think they were averaging like 32 minutes of possession coming into this game. So we talked about it, that we need to stay on the field. And on Wednesday in practice when we did third down, we talked about it. This is going to be critical. Like, we can't be putting these guys back on the field because, the way they play ball, if you're not converting on third down, then your defense is out there a lot. The offense on the Vanderbilt's offense is running clock down. And next thing you know, it's the fourth quarter, and you've played 40 plays, and it's 10-10, and that was really good. But to get to those third down situations, we had to be productive on first down, and I thought it was just a lot of great individual plays, whether it be Rocket, whether it be Lenoris, again, kind of the same story as last week, Alan, just great players making individual efforts as well.
Oscar Attaway had a nice night, too. I mean, he didn't do a lot. I'm trying to get his numbers here for you. 8 carries for 34 yards and had one go for 11, so had a double-digit carry. I mean,
he ran hard.
Solid night.
For a number 2 running back, he did what you needed him to do, and that's not have any negative plays, be able to push the pile a little bit in short conversions. Oscar played a good role. He had a solid game.
If you're giving me better than 4 a carry, I'm taking it.
Absolutely, yeah. Especially if you're the running back that is just spelling the starter for a little bit. Like, look, if Rocket Sanders is going to pick up 8 yards a carry, and it's like 2 straight games now where he's rushed well over 100 yards. That's a lot of running. You're going to get tired.
Yeah.
So you need somebody to come in and spell you. And for Oscar Attaway to come in there and pick you up 4 yards a carry as the backup running back, that's a pretty good plus.
Juju McDowell sighting as well. He was 3 of 12. So there you go. Another guy who's averaged 4 even in limited role. Again, if you're giving me 4 a carry,
I'll take it.
Sign me up. 11 minutes after 4 o'clock here on this Monday afternoon. Want to hear from you, 803-404-6100. We'll get into some of your calls and texts. Hit us on the Twitters as well, at jphillips1075 or the station feed 1075 The Game. A lot of chaos to discuss around the conference. We'll get into that as well. And as Elijah said, not just the conference, the nation. But, boy, who's going to play for the SEC title?
I don't know.
I'm here for the chaos. I'm here for the chaos.
There's no shortage, man.
You are listening to the Postgame Show. Guys, as we're getting a little bit older, you might wake up one day and go, wait, what day is it? What's on the schedule? I know I was supposed to go do something. A little brain fog, right? Or maybe, after a workout or working in the yard, you're like, God, I don't remember just being this sore or taking this long to recover. Or a host of things that could be going on out there for you in your personal life and in your health life. If you're not feeling like yourself, you need to see Dr. Dan Balknight and his team at the Men's Clinic. For years, they have been helping guys get back to feeling the way they want to, the way they used to, and the way they know they can. No magic pills, no one-size-fits-all. Dan and his team, experts in healthcare for men, dedicated to getting you back to feeling the way you want to. Set up a free consultation, 803-875-MENS. That's the phone number. And learn more about what they do at themensclinicsc.com. Welcome back into the postgame show on this Monday afternoon, and a happy Veterans Day 2024. Jay Phillips, Elijah Campbell with you. Do have some breaking news out of the Big Ten, and there is a local angle, which is why I'm going to bring this up right now. Make sure I've got everything here. Matt Rule has made a change on his offensive staff. He has demoted, during the season, Marcus Satterfield, and has elevated newly hired Dana Holgorsen as Nebraska's offensive coordinator. Yeah, that's one way to put it. Nebraska is currently 96th nationally in yards per game, 99th in scoring. They are averaging 18 points in their 6 Big Ten contests. And Matt Rule says that Dana Holgorsen, a Mike Leach disciple, is, quote, a great offensive mind. They aren't changing the system overall. Said it's probably unique, did Rule, of making this kind of change now, quote, but it's what we needed. It's the right thing. How'd you react again? Yeah.
You seen this before?
I just go kind of.
Does it sound familiar?
Well, I just,
anyone?
That
offense is bad, man.
I don't want to pile on. It was 2 years ago, but many of you have heard us, talk about it. But it was one of the first big moments where the head football coach here, Shane Beamer, just said, look, and Terry and I used to joke about it a bunch. Marcus had, I remember Terry coming up with it, the Denny's menu. And that's the analogy we used, all right? Denny's is a fine place for a lot of good old-fashioned American diner food. The vast majority of folks that go to Denny's don't go to Denny's to get a T-bone steak or a salmon fillet. They just don't. It's on the menu.
I might even try it. Now I'm curious.
But let's face it. Most of us are going to Denny's to get some bacon, some eggs, some pancakes, some coffee, And basically, so what Terry and I came up with is Marcus, it's a fine menu you got there, bud. We're going to take off the T-bone. We're going to take off the salmon. We're probably going to take off the chicken. All right? This group wants pancakes and bacon and eggs. Throw in a little hash browns. Bowl of grits from time to time. Gotcha. Might even get a curveball with some wheat toast instead of white toast. No more salmon.
A little wrinkle.
So quit calling the supplier asking for salmon. We're not cooking the salmon. Nothing wrong with a T-bone steak. But we're not going to be cooking any more T-bone steaks.
Our chefs are overwhelmed.
Yeah, I'm just telling you right now, as the owner of this establishment, I'm not letting you, my chef, cook any more salmon or T-bones.
No.
Sorry. Simplify the menu. And it sounds like that's exactly, only here you've got Dana Holgorsen to kind of turn it over to. There was no Mike Shula and Kitchens was here, but he couldn't be elevated like this. You can't do that.
Nope.
Now you can.
Pretty remarkably.
Yeah. I don't know if Coach Kitchens would have been elevated or not. That's neither here nor there.
It's an interesting combination between trying to make a change schematically and desperation.
Yeah. So
because Nebraska's staring down the barrel of another 5-7 season. Yet again, there is no program that is more doomed to being 5-7 every year.
Nebraska has Southern California and Iowa left on the schedule, and Wisconsin. So one win in those three, and they get bowl eligible. 803-404-6100. Again, all the best to Marcus. Yeah, I'm not here to, like I said, I'm not here to pile on. It's just y'all remember around this time of year 2 years ago that basically something similar was happening. It was not going well at all. And then, you make a change. See what happens. All right, let's get on the phone lines here for you. And Dan is up next on the halftime show, on the postgame show, whatever show this is. Hey, Dan.
Hey, what's up, Jay and Elijah? How y'all doing today, man?
Doing well, sir.
Hey,
Hope
what's
you
up?
are.
Hey, Jay, it's been a while since I've called in. I've been a long time fan of yours, and
Thank you.
I wanted to get your takes on this. And first of all, let me just say happy Veterans Day, all my fellow vets out there. But when it comes to Gamecock football, man, look, I have been on this Beamer train since the day he was hired. I have always felt that Carolina needed a hungry coach that wanted to be here, did not use this as a stepping stone for something better, and just loved the culture in this program. And that's been Shane Beamer to a T, guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just tired of listening to all these so-called Gamecock fans saying, fire him, fire Dow Loggins, fire Clayton White. You know, give the man a chance to build a program. Will Muschamp left this program in shambles, and people don't forget. People forget. Steve Spurrier, it took him 6 years now, which was the 2010 season, to build a winning program. Let the man work, man. Go Gamecocks. I just want to get your guys'
Yeah, Dan, thank you, buddy. Appreciate that, and happy Veterans Day to you as well. No, I completely agree, and I'll kind of do one of my roundabout answers to come back around to the point. But I can't remember the exact subject at the time earlier this season, Elijah. You might remember we were talking about some things around this program and the support that was there. And I remember saying, hey, listen, there's things that are coming that if you don't make happen, you're going to be left behind. I forget exactly. I think we were talking maybe about Missouri and Kentucky and some things. And we had a caller say, it sounds like you're saying if it's another bad year that's it for Shane Beamer. And I said, no, quite the contrary. I said, Shane is absolutely the right leader for the football program, but the university itself must do more. The football coach can't do everything. Right. Even Nick Saban really did get great support from his athletics director, his president, and his board.
Those Nike checks came in pretty well, too.
That helps,
They
too,
gave him a lot of money.
So it was never that at all. It's that if you don't start getting some things, and look, I think Carolina's trying with Dylan Stewart and others, and Carolina's going to spend the maximum amount of money allowed when it comes to paying players, and that's great. That's what you're going to have to do. But Dan, to your larger point, I've been right there with you the whole time, and I make no secret of it. I absolutely believe Shane to be the right guy. Look, I'm not going to sit here and say I am stunned by the fact that they've won these last 3 games the way they have. But again, if you had told me at the beginning of the year, you're going to go to Oklahoma and beat the crap out of Oklahoma, I've been like, well, what are you smoking? And this A&M team was really, really good, and Carolina was dominant. They are getting better. But you're right. He took over something that was no longer fun. I always, Elijah, will come back around to one of the very first things Shane said in his first season when it came to why it felt like a corner was being turned, even if there was still a long way to go. And he said, it's amazing what a little confidence and a little joy can do for these young men. And it tells you right then, he knew what he took over, had no confidence, and had no joy.
He was in the dumps.
Yeah. And so it wasn't, hey, I've got this quarterback or this receiver or this linebacker or this kicker or this assistant coach or whatever. It's let's first remember that these are young college students that want to enjoy life as they represent their school. And yes, it's a very serious undertaking to play major college football. But you got to do it with a smile on your face sometimes, at least to as much as you possibly can. And so that alone, Dan, I think always kind of set a tone for who Shane is and what he wants to mold this program, how he wants to mold this program. And then, to come back around to the next favorite thing I like to say and have said my whole career, go get more good players. You had some good players. Go get more of them. Doesn't mean that who you got isn't any good. You want to be great? More good players.
Increase the quantity.
Greed is good, said Gordon Gekko. I would agree when it comes to the amassing of talent. at the collegiate level. I go back to what I said about Dan Reeves, the late, great Dan Reeves. A month after Shane was hired, had Dan on the show. We were talking NFL, and the last thing I asked Dan, in fact, the last question I ever got to ask him in an interview, Coach, you got any advice for the new head coach at your alma mater? Yeah. Tell him to go get some players. This is college football. So, the acquisition of talent is different at this level. And now that's happening, Dan. And these guys, you can tell, love to play for him. They're having a good time. It does take patience. And as someone, as I said, who's been a regular at Williams-Brice since the mid-1970s, I understand that sometimes Gamecock fans don't want to hear you need to be patient. But you have to be patient if there's coaching changes. Because that's what, and that's why I always caution against it. In fact, the number one thing I think that has hampered this program for much of its history is the willingness to make changes at the head coaching level without really stopping to think about what it is that you're doing. I will always, and again, this is part of Gamecock lore. It's not exclusive. But Elijah, I've told you before, man, if there had not been a power struggle between Jim Carlin, who was coach and AD, and the president at the time, Dr. James Holderman, I'd love to know what South Carolina football might have looked like through the 80s if Coach Carlin had been able to keep doing what he was doing. Because a lot of the dudes that ultimately were the upperclassmen of the 84 team were guys that Jim Carlin recruited to South Carolina. Jim Carlin recruited guys like George Rogers and those around him that allowed George to win the Heisman Trophy. Jim Carlin was a really good football coach. And then you screwed it up by hiring somebody that shouldn't have been hired. That lasted a year, and, man, it was bad. 1982 sucked. Okay?
Oh, a bad year like that can set you back for
And you bring in Joe Morrison, and he got him whipped into shape. And, again, 84 was special, but it really wasn't Joe's guys yet. But then, once he got his thing going, now, look, there was another hiccup along the way, and that's another story. But they did get talent, and they were starting to become a pretty good football team. And then that ended. And sometimes you have to have a change, Brad Scott. Will Muschamp.
Winless seasons sometimes, often.
But patience is something I think that can really matter. And I absolutely believe Shane is the right guy for this job. And the results are starting. I don't know how the season's going to end. I have no idea.
Just from a business perspective.
Yeah.
The product's good.
Yeah.
This is a good product right now.
But when you look at what's happening, another corner has been turned. There are several left to navigate. But it's working. It's working. To what degree? I don't know yet. That's the beauty of sports. They get to go play another game this weekend and write another chapter. You're listening to the Postgame Show. Hey, I want to tell you about our friends at Minuteman Press right down the street here, downtown Columbia, Gervais Street. For years, the old Apex graphics in there doing a lot of printing for businesses. Now, the folks at Minuteman have taken it up not just a notch, but several notches when it comes to helping you grow your business. More than 300,000 items to help you get out to your customers, new ones, current ones, future ones, whether it's signage for brand new businesses, whether it's embroidered logoed items for hats, shirts, things when you and your crew are out and about in the community. And especially this time of year, ways to say thank you at the holidays with cards, with gift sets. Again, if you can think of it and it can help you promote and grow your business, they've got it for you right now at Minuteman Press. Check them out online, Minuteman.com. Stop in and see what they can do for you right here on Gervais Street in downtown Columbia. That's our good friends at Minuteman Press.
For all the WIS Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell. The few accidents to get to, they're causing some issues on the roadways this afternoon. We'll start with almost all of these are in Richland County. We'll start with one on Bull Street near Jefferson Street, another one on Bull Street closer to Elmwood Avenue, Clemson Road at Hardscrabble Road, Farrow Road and Highway 555 near Highway 277, Hardscrabble Road near Summit Parkway, Hardin Street at US 1 and Gervais Street, and lastly, one in Lexington County at Old Chapin Road at Old Cherokee Road.
Talking Gamecocks over Vandy, 28-7 final score on Saturday afternoon/evening in Music City, USA. Our own Elijah Campbell was up there. I know the guy from SEC Shorts was there dressed as, and I'm air quoting the word Vanderbilt for what they've been doing this year with his cool, what do you call that, a mace, right?
Yeah.
And he had his crown and his cool, cape or robes. And it has been a great story. And I'm glad Vanderbilt's going to a bowl game. I mean,
Good for them.
Yeah, and listen, Carolina fans, you pull like heck for Vandy to win their remaining games.
Make that win look more impressive.
Yeah. I don't think Vanderbilt's going to beat Tennessee.
No.
And who else?
They could. They get that game at home this year, so the 20% that usually shows up in Vanderbilt attire will go exceptionally hard for that.
Do they have another non-con? I don't have their schedule in front of me. I apologize.
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me either.
So, but that was their 10th game, right? So they're off this coming weekend. Then they have 2 games left.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, their schedule. They have to go at LSU actually.
Oh my! So they have at LSU and then home with Tennessee.
Well, they have a scrambling quarterback at LSU, which means he'll run for at least 200 yards. Yes.
Well, hey, again, they're going to a bowl.
They're going bowling.
So, but I'm not being critical of the SEC Shorts. I love those things, but I did find it a little, I don't know, just interesting. There's a better word I could use.
I feel like they're cashing in on popularity.
Yeah, well, and that's just it. If that's what it is, I hope our guy got a solid 5-figure appearance fee. And that he shared it with the SEC Shorts staff. I don't know how much.
Team effort.
I mean, they work pretty hard, and there's a lot of them. And I doubt they got to have day jobs, right?
I assumed, yeah, not full-time content creators.
But did you get to? Yeah, you saw him.
I saw him. I didn't meet him or anything, but I saw him.
Yeah,
and there were some imposters in the stands too.
Yeah.
There are other people that brought similar
attire. It's become a good bit, man.
It's become a bit to the point, where people in the stands, there are a few wannabes, had to spot the real one. But yeah, he was there in attendance. Can confirm.
That's good. Well, and I have seen this week's episode. It was funny, and how they portrayed Carolina was. I was thinking it was going to actually be a little bit more. I don't want to give it away, but because again, you need to go see it. That was one thing about comedy. I don't want to sit here and blow the joke. That's not fun.
No,
I'm not that guy.
You don't want that.
So yeah, it's comedy. So just go check it out. It's fun. Susan wants to weigh in on what's going on this Monday afternoon. Hey, Susan, how are you?
How's everybody?
Doing well. Hope you are.
Fantastic.
Well, after 60 years of watching Carolina football, you think I'm doing well? Very exciting. I wholeheartedly agree with everything you said about Beamer. I have watched the A&M game with Tom and Todd Todd and Tommy on YouTube over and over again and have enjoyed it tremendously, just like I did when we beat Tennessee and Clemson in 22. One thing I do hope that the athletic department has learned, and that is if we need a new coach, you do not even sniff someone who has walked into Athens, Georgia. Think about it. Think about it. Think about it.
Yeah, maybe so. I don't know. I mean, if they've walked out, I assume you mean on the staff at UGA or as a player at UGA. Yeah.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Because the ones that we've had were not very good. And they are Georgia people, just like I'm a Gamecock person, but they've got power, and they are Georgia people to their toenails, and it doesn't leave them. It doesn't leave them.
No.
Where do they go when they don't have a job?
Well, it was always interesting, like Mike Bobo going to Auburn, and Will coached at Auburn, and of course, Will was at Florida, which was weird, and then Will was here, and then Bobo was here for a season with Will, and then of course became the interim head coach. It was, it's an interesting dynamic. The bigger thing, look, I mean, Georgia is obviously fantastic at football, and always has been. I get Susan's point, so we'll see. I'd like to think that Shane Beamer can be here a long time.
I expect him. Yeah,
I know Shane and Emily want to be here a long time. I think if you offered Shane, I don't think this. I know this. If Shane can have the type of run here that his father had at Virginia Tech, Shane Beamer is going to be a very, very, very happy man, and Emily will be a very happy football wife. Mm-hmm. There's no question of that, and I think there's something in both of them, and I don't mean Emily, but in her too, but in Frank that he instilled in Shane, and I know it's different for Coach Spurrier because of where he did it, but the point I'm making here is the same. I want to do it where it hadn't been done. Before Frank Beamer, Virginia Tech had some moments, but nothing special. South Carolina's had some big moments, obviously, and Shane was part of some of that with Steve. But Steve, even if there were just mild overtures toward him while he was Carolina's coach from Bama, from Miami, he always was very public about saying, listen, they've done it over there. I want to do it here. And that's why he felt the way he felt about going back to UF as coach. And I said this to you just the other day, Elijah. And I know you already knew this, but it always bears repeating, I think, in case you've never heard it before. But before Steve Spurrier arrived in Gainesville as head coach, the University of Florida had never won an outright SEC championship. In other words, Steve was able to go in with his coaching acumen and his attitude toward things and do something that hadn't been done. And then he went and won the SEC, 6 times, I think it was?
A lot.
They won a national title. I think one of them he likes to claim where they were technically still on probation his first year, but he's like, hey, we see our record? We're SEC champs. That's basically what he said.
He Alabama'd an SEC championship.
Yeah, because they couldn't technically win the conference championship, which is weird. It's like, well, you won all your games. Why you even let them play? Right? Like, why are we even playing?
Like a bowl ban.
Yeah. I'm kind of glad those days are gone. Of course, I don't like vacating wins either. You got to be something better.
Yeah, also really dumb.
Just you know what? Let's just fine the heck out of people. Anyway, I don't want to go down that.
Yes,
but
pocketbooks.
No, but Shane wants to be here. That's the number one. And I think for people, you don't have to be from here to understand why that means something a little bit different. But we hear. I mean, look, even at the big giant programs, right? Michigan folk. Hey, he's a Michigan man. All right. Sometimes that works, and sometimes it doesn't. Yeah. Harbaugh, it worked. Hoke, not so much.
Hoke Rich Rod, which was seemingly, the home run hire.
Yeah.
He's a Michigan man. Like that offense he had in West Virginia. But no, it's one of those things too. And I was just thinking about it now. That even if you're a coach that follows in the footsteps at a place like that, like Kalen DeBoer, right? Are they going to build a statue for Kalen DeBoer if he only wins one national championship? Winning a national championship is hard.
Right.
You think he'll ever be even the third most revered coach if he only wins one in 10 years? If he does like what John Calipari did at Kentucky, where he wins one, is there for 15 years, and does the whole "your welcome's worn out" thing. They're not going to build a statue for John Calipari at Kentucky. Hate to break it to a lot of people. I don't think they're going to. I don't think he's even the third most revered coach in that program's history.
No, he's
what
not.
Shane's got here is where he can, if he takes them to the Spurrier level heights, and this is the only place that he's ever been and ever coached, it's kind of like what his dad did at Virginia Tech.
Yep.
Then the reverence here would be significantly more than even those guys who, as great as they were in their profession, like John Calipari or maybe even Kalen DeBoer in the future, as good as they are at their profession, may still never get. There is something really special about being able to do it at a place that's never done it, because then you are seen as the figurehead of the entire history of the program. Steve Spurrier, as much as he's beloved here, did it at Florida. You know, like he's split his allegiances.
Well, and Steve's like Bear in the sense that he is the winningest coach at two programs in this conference, which is a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
But even Steve has said, yeah, I'm back down here now, and I'm kind of UF. And look, and he should be. I got no problem with it.
He won a title there.
Yeah. Well, he won a title there, but he won a Heisman there. He met his wife there. He went to school there. I mean, he's
Get it.
You know, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
But they love it. They loved it here. There's no question. But Shane's doing a good job. We'll hear more from him and a lot more on what's going on around the SEC as the post-game show continues. Welcome back into the postgame show here on a Monday afternoon. Jay and Elijah with you. Coming up top of the hour, headlines of the day. More sound from Coach Beamer. Drive around the SEC. We'll look at the standings. I know we've been saying we're going to get to the chaos. The chaos is just – Seth Emerson has a piece in today's Athletic where even Seth basically – I'm going to paraphrase right now. We'll get into more detail next hour. Says, here's some of the things that could happen, but really I have no idea what's going to happen. Because, I mean, again, this weekend, Georgia beats Tennessee, and then you look ahead a couple weeks to the A&M UT game, and A&M wins that game. Bama doesn't lose again. LSU doesn't lose again. He even has Missouri in there, who technically, again, they can't lose again. But if they do win out, then they'll be 6-2.
There'll be a
Carolina
lot of
fans. So you listen, Carolina fans. I say Carolina fans. I mean, the players have to go do it. But the number one thing you want to see is just to make sure that Eli Drinkwitz don't have any shot at that.
At playing in Atlanta.
At that playoff.
Wouldn't it be an absolute travesty for that team to be playing in Atlanta this year?
Yes.
Disgusting.
Yes.
Absolutely disgusting because that team is underachieved, but their schedule has been so easy. And even they've gotten like the luckiest breaks in the SEC in terms of scheduling.
Speaking of easy, and I'll be honest with you, I think I know who all these are, but I didn't write them down. I was just going so quick, so I'm showing you on the YouTube stream, or Elijah, you can see this. But I saw a Nebraska beat writer kind of making fun of the SEC today. And look, if you want to do that, that's fine. I don't care. And I know this is just one metric. The SEC has 9 schools ranked in this week's top 25.
It's a lot.
The Big Ten has 4. The average strength of schedule of the SEC teams ranked 20.8. All right, so let's call it 21.
So you're saying the average team of those 9 has a top 20 strength of schedule?
Yeah, or like top 21. Again, 2021, 20.8. All right, the 4 Big Ten schools average strength of schedule 51.25.
It's 30 spot drop off.
There are, of the 9 SEC schools ranked, 6 of them have a better strength of schedule than the best-ranked Big Ten strength of schedule, which is Ohio State's 26. Yeah. By the way, one of them has schedule strength number 100 in the Big Ten. Would you like to guess which of the 4 ranked schools that is?
That would be 10 Indiana.
It would be. So, again, I love the story.
Fantastic story.
Love the story.
And they've been beating the brakes off everybody.
Yeah, but your schedule strength is not so much. Oregon is number 49, Ohio State number 26, Penn State number 30.
I will entertain the thought that those 3 Big Ten teams would be in the top 3 of the SEC, but don't try to argue about the depth of the conferences.
Anyway, just throwing that out there.
Because that isn't comparable.
You want to pull the golf clap up real quick here?
I would love to pull the golf clap up because I think I know who the golf clap is for.
Yeah, let's just go ahead and get that out of the way. Congratulations to one Elijah Campbell winning this week's Wild Card Showdown. Elijah went 3-2, the only winning record of the 4 of us. Travis, one of our callers on Friday, went 2-3. Keaton and yours truly, incredibly disappointing 1-4 on the week.
My residence at Ole Miss Island paid off big time.
It did. And on Steeler Island.
And Steeler Island.
Yeah.
I was on 2 islands.
You were on 2. And so you're nice and tropical, little umbrella drinks.
That's right. And crazy enough, no more flights coming in. I've canceled all of them. No, it's just me on here, and I'm having a good time by myself.
You did all right, man. You did all right. So Elijah is now 31-23-1 against the spread. Yours truly now hovering back near 500 at 28-26-1. So you take a big leap forward this week. I'd cut it to 1 game. Now it's pulling back out.
I'm not satisfied because I'm trying to go 5-0 for you the season with this. It's going to be free.
Is the analysis confirmed?
Confirmed analysis.
All right, that's good.
Side and total.
Let's give Gary the final word in hour number 2. Hey, Gary, how you doing, bud?
Hey, guys, doing good. Just wanted to kind of add in from that last caller, really, that Ray Tanner, on his way out and everything. I think he's done a good job of hiring coaches that want to be here, and I think yes, of course, it's important for the program, but I think it's important for the kids that you try to recruit. You now have a new, young, and up and coming softball coach, and this is actually her alma mater. This is Lamont Paris in year number 3. You got Shane Beamer in year number 4. So or 5, whichever it is. I can't count. Everything's run together. 4. But you want to you want to make sure you're building for the future. And in Shane's first year, what if we had lost that game to East Carolina? And all the jokers that we had at the quarterback spot, and what fans want to get rid of them then. So we just got to be hasty and take things slow. I mean,
well, he's building it the right way. I think exactly. he's getting it done. In a way that makes sense.
It's sustainable.
And really think of how fluid the whole thing is these days in college sports. Hour 3 coming up. You ever wake up going, man, I can barely get out of bed today. I'm all stove up. That's what an older generation might have used to say. Yeah, well, if you are bothered by back, neck, shoulder, or joint pain, get back in the game with our friends at the Joint Chiropractic Centers. You can be in and out quickly, don't have to miss lunch hour or any major time at work. They're open Monday through Friday, 10 until 7, Saturdays 10 to 4. Janet and Bob Keene, the local owners who've been doing it for a long time, are very involved in the local community. And more than anything else, they want you to know that they can help you maintain a healthy body and prevent reoccurring issues. If you've never been to a chiropractic center before, at the Joint, for just $29, you can get an initial consultation, exam, and adjustment. And again, no appointment, no insurance ever necessary. So if you have questions, want to see what it's all about, hey, you're in and out real quick. They got you at Harbison, Forest Drive, Roberts Branch off Killian, Sunset Boulevard in Lexington. Online, learn more, thejoint.com. You don't have to feel bad to feel better at the Joint.
From the WIS Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell with a few accidents here to get to you. They're causing some issues on the roadways. All but one of these are going to be in Richland County, starting with one on Bull Street near Jefferson Street. Another one on Bull Street. This one's closer to Elmwood Avenue, so traffic on Bull is a little more extensive today than usual. Clemson Road at Hardscrabble Road, Farrow Road at Highway 555 at I-77, Hardin Street at Gervais Street, 2 on 20 westbound, 1 on Wilson Boulevard near exit 71, and the other one near exit 68, 1 on Old Chapin Road at Old Cherokee Road, and lastly, 1 on US 378 near Atlas Road.
It is 5 o'clock news time on this Veterans Day 2024. And again, a very happy Veterans Day and a big thank you to all who have served our great nation in their lives, those that have gone before, those that are doing so right now. We can't tell you how much we appreciate you. Gamecocks over Vanderbilt, 28-7 final score. South Carolina runs its record to 6-3, 4-3 now in conference play. 3 games to go. Carolina, Missouri this weekend sees the Gamecocks open as 14-point favorites. That line has dipped a little bit now. At last check, 11.5, still very big. And for whatever it's worth, as Elijah and I mentioned to you earlier, the money line is minus 500. So Vegas really thinks Carolina's going to win this ball game.
The fact that hasn't changed, but the line itself has, just tells you that maybe a lot of these bettors are just really confident that they cover the spread, not beat them.
Not win the game outright. But we'll get into more of that one coming up for you, of course, throughout the week. But let's let you hear a little bit from what Shane Beamer had to say. And first off, after 9 games now, you got a big winning streak and a dominant winning streak to boot. Shane is pleased with where things are at the moment.
We are, 6-3. We're bowl eligible with 3 games left. We got 2 out of our last 3 at home. We know we got a big challenge against Missouri next week against somebody who obviously are a really good team and playing Oklahoma right now. But we've not fared well against them, to say the least, since I've been the head coach here. So we need to perform well. The biggest thing for us is we got to get healthy. We were like a mass unit out there tonight with some guys that missed time, some guys that didn't finish the game. So we got to get back to Columbia, get healthy, and get ready for another physical game in the SEC.
And you do. And Eli Drinkwitz at the end of Missouri's game where they escaped with a wild finish against Oklahoma. Again, 4 touchdowns scored in that game, 2 by each team in the last 3.5 minutes of the ball game. It sees Missouri come away with a win. And Eli did say, he didn't say, we're going to the playoff. But he said, you heard me.
Playoff hunt.
Yeah. So he believes it.
Which to me is just as goofy as looking at the teams that are in the hunt in the NFL season when they show those graphics in the broadcast, and it's like teams in the hunt. Here's a 5-9 team that still just needs to win like 3 games in a row and still maybe get a little bit of help. Yeah. It's kind of what that reminded me of. But funny thing you mentioned, as I throw my pen everywhere, what the hell just happened? But that was odd. But in that Missouri-Oklahoma game, you mentioned the 4 touchdowns in the last 3 minutes. It just came to me that all 4 units in that game between offenses and defenses had a touchdown each.
Yeah.
Oklahoma scored 1 offensive touchdown, 1 defensive. Yep. Missouri, 1 offensive, 1 defensive. It might be the wildest final 3.5 minutes to a football game you will ever see.
I mean, it was crazy. I didn't see it live. I saw the highlights, and I was like, my goodness, that must have been fun to watch.
Yeah.
But I also blew Elijah's mind earlier when it dawned on me that, I don't want to say the biggest stars, but on the Gamecock team.
Most impactful players.
There you go.
On both sides of the ball.
On both sides of the ball. Number 5 and number 6 on offense, Rocket and Josh. Number 5 and number 6, Kyle and Dylan. It's just Weird.
So when someone looks at the team and says, yeah, our best players are number 5 and number 6, when someone asks which one, the only correct answer is yes.
Yes, that's exactly right. More from Shane here. I did tell you number 19, didn't I? Yeah.
You did.
Number 19 here is Shane on the importance of knowing you'll get postseason opportunities.
Yeah, I think so, for sure. We got bowl eligible, and then we went down and embarrassed ourselves in Gainesville 7 days later, so hopefully that's not the same thing. But it was really cool. So many similarities. Rainy night, rainy forecast 2 years ago, and then it never really did much during the game. And back and forth game a couple years ago, and that was a special night to get bowl eligible as well. Sorry, looking at some of these scores. Well, it was really special to come in here and get bowl eligible 2 years ago, but I'd say it's extra special tonight, Jack, just coming off the season that we had last year, and very few people thought we would, I saw a lot of those preseason projections, and it certainly didn't have us winning 6 games this season, and having 6 wins with 3 games to go, so proud of our guys, but just so happy for them, for Sean, Tonka, Boogie, Luke, on and on and on for those guys to be able to be bowl eligible, and another win over a nationally ranked team. Really proud of them.
It is a big deal. Look, I don't know which bowl game Carolina gets yet. You still have. Listen, I'm not predicting it. I'm just saying you can win each of your final 3 games, and if you do, you set yourself up for something that's even more special when it comes to a postseason opportunity. And so in and of itself, just getting there and things have changed. Now it's almost like another spring practice and all that. All that stuff matters. All that stuff matters. But, go get this one, have a winning record in conference play. You certainly expect you to beat Wofford the following week. Mm-hmm. And then you take your chances with a Clemson team that I think South Carolina matches up pretty well with now.
That's an even matchup. Yeah. And as I'm listening to Shane talk right there, I'm thinking in my head, they can't get ahead of themselves, but we can.
Sure.
We have the luxury of doing
that
because we don't play.
That's right.
So the idea of maybe Clemson going into that game at 10-1 and Carolina at 8-3 would lead up to a very exciting finish to the season. How big of a game that would be, how great of an atmosphere. They're always great. All Carolina Clemson games are great, even if both teams are going into the game at 1-10.
2003 kind of sucked.
2003?
Yeah.
No.
But beyond that,
I was in 3rd grade. I don't remember it as much. No.
I just had to say that real quick.
You just had to do it.
Well, that was the worst. That's probably the worst day I've ever had going to a football game in my entire life, for a lot of reasons.
A multitude.
Mostly being stuck in traffic and missing my pregame show, which was, dude, it was the worst traffic day ever.
Oh, that's terrible.
It was terrible. It was brutal.
I don't
know why the traffic was so bad. It's like, help out with some cops on Rosewood. That might help.
You mentioning that is like my worst nightmare because I've had dreams where I've missed shows. Like I get like you said, bad nightmares where it's like yeah.
I had one like 2 weeks ago.
All the time that I'm missing a show, all the time. Yeah. I dream about it.
I had one like 2 weeks ago where I was like so petrified. I was like, I wonder if they're going to be mad that I missed that show because like. In the dream, I just decided it's not like I did it like to play hooky. It's like I just didn't go to work that day or something.
That you just forgot.
Yeah. And I woke up I woke up like going, man, this. Oh wait, you're good. Like I had to do that. No, anyway, no, it should be a lot of fun. But you're right, we can look ahead a little bit. Do me a favor, real quick here. Give me cut 3.
Okay.
And then we're going to have the follow-up, all right? So I'm not going to here's the context, all right? Cut 3.
Wide receivers over the left side, 2 tight ends as well. Rocket in the backfield. Blitz up the middle. Sellers down to Josh Simon at the goal line. Touchdown, Carolina. Touchdown, Josh Simon. 17 yards out.
The game had been kind of a slog at that point. Carolina, again, I felt was in control, but there were no scores. And then there was. Here is Josh Simon post-game on what he saw from his own point of view on that play.
I had a feeling when I saw him, because if you watch it, we ran something similar to play right before it. And I seen what Coach Logan seen, and when he called it again, I was like, it's either coming to me or Mike. And when I released, and I noticed I was butt naked open, I looked back. Oh, can I say that? My bad.
You just did.
And I looked, and I saw the ball, and I knew the safety was somewhere, and I caught it, and bam.
Yeah, you can say that.
Hey, Mazio Bennett used that to describe his touchdown catch against Kentucky in the second week of the year. I am very cool with describing as someone being open down the field as butt naked.
Sure.
Because there's a difference between being naked and naked. As a Southerner, you know this. Everyone knows this. Being naked is just not having clothes on. It's the physical state of just being nude, right? Being naked is being in that state, but with more sinister intention.
Yes, as the great Louis Grizzard once said, yes, being naked means you have no clothes on. Being naked means you have no clothes on, and you up to something.
You up to no good, because it's not just up to something, you up to something no good. Sinister intentions.
That's right. So there you go. We'll have more on the Gamecock football team coming up for you in just a bit. Continuing our integrated media headlines of the day. A good weekend for Carolina basketball. Both the men's and women's teams. Friday night, South Carolina over SC State, 86-64. Obviously getting back on track after a very disappointing start to the season. South Carolina in control throughout the course of this one. I know you were over there for a little bit. Expected to beat North Florida, and they didn't. But throughout the course of the ball game, Carolina never really challenged by SC State. And I think the Gamecocks asserted themselves better defensively as well. State shooting less than 36% from the floor. So Carolina just made sure more than anything else, we're not going to give them a lot of good looks and then make that work for you. The Gamecocks shot 47% from the floor. Let's see, Wright had 20 and Colin Murray Boyles had 19
Rebounded
to lead South Carolina. And rebounding
a hell of a lot better.
51 rebounds for South Carolina, just 36 for the Bulldogs.
Gamecocks had more offensive rebounds in the first half than South Carolina State had total rebounds in the first half. Not a mathematician, so I can't give you the specific odds of winning when you do that, but it's going to be north of 90.
Yeah. Yesterday in Charlotte, in the Ally tip-off game, South Carolina beat number 9 NC State 71-57. Tahina Paopao was very impressive yesterday for South Carolina. There was other big news, though. Chloe Kitts missed yesterday's game for what the school said was an academic issue. Look, I don't know. I do know for sure Chloe's an excellent student, so it isn't a matter of grades. If I may, it felt like this was maybe a missing class kind of a infraction or something like that. Again, I don't know, so I am going to speculate a little bit here. Mm-hmm. I know some question why they would put the word academic in there, and then you got to be vague rather than just saying a team. Sometimes it's just a violation of team policy or something like that where a coach can be vague, but they chose to put an academic thing in there. Whatever the reasons were, that's what they did. She will be back for their next ball game. So it was a one-off so long as you continue at that point to do what you need to do, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, even in her absence, but she was huge in that Michigan game. I mean, you could say she was the reason you won that Michigan game. Down without her, still were able to get the job done. Double-digit win against a top 10 team, and they haven't even shot the ball well all year, Jay Phillips. This is last year. That was one of, if not the best Dawn Staley three-point shooting team she's had here in Columbia. And this year, to start the year, they haven't shot the ball very well, and they survived not shooting the ball very well against a top 10 team. So a very big win for Dawn and the crew. And look, I have a feeling they will slip up at one point this year and lose a game, and that's going to end up being like the story of the years. Will they ever lose again?
Right. But
once they round out into form and they get into midseason form and those shots start falling, it's going to take a perfect game from somebody, from anyone, even some of the best teams in this conference, to be able to take them down.
As I said, Tahina led the way with 23 points. She also had 3 assists and a couple of steals in 34 minutes. The only other double-digit scorer for South Carolina yesterday was Malaysia Fulwiley off the bench with 18 points in 18 minutes. And, yes, Ashlyn Watkins did play. In fact, she played a lot, 19 minutes. She scored 6 points. She grabbed 6 boards, had a steal and an assist and a block. So a rather complete game, even in limited action. I expect her role to increase in the coming games. South Carolina goes to 2-0. The new poll did come out today, and the Gamecocks are indeed, once again, as you would expect, the number one team in the country. That's our integrated media headlines of the day. 803-948-8327 for all your home entertainment needs, home security needs. Put it all into one spot. Integrated media can get it done for you, especially ahead of the holidays. What a great time to call them. 803-948-8327. Our very good friends at Integrated Media, who are also about to open the brand new Pro Swing in Forest Acres. Yes.
A little closer to my neck of the woods. Let's go.
I'm excited about that. All right, more from Shane Beamer, more of your phone calls, 803-404-6100. It's the Postgame Show. Gathering family and friends around the fire is a holiday tradition like no other, and Palmetto Propane is ready to help you upgrade your fireplace, whether it's propane or natural gas, with premium gas logs, complete installation and service. Palmetto Propane is a family-owned company that's been delivering propane to homes and businesses for more than 60 years. And with professional installation, service, and premium gas log and outdoor fire features, they're proud to be our state's leading full-service propane and fuel provider. Plus, a lot of what they do is online for you. Make things a whole lot easier. Go to palmettopropane.com and find the nearest hearth and patio home store showroom to you. Aiken, West Columbia, Batesburg, Lexington, Augusta. Again, fireplaces both in and out. Grills, accessories, lanterns, lights, so many things to make life a whole lot easier. And Renai tankless water heaters, love them. Telling you, palmettopropane.com. Find a store near you. Welcome back into the postgame show. Jay and Elijah with you here on a Monday afternoon. I was just sharing with Elijah a very funny banner. I don't know how this came up. Well, it just came. But anyway, I can't say what it was. So I know I'm not supposed to tell jokes on the air that I can't deliver a punchline. But many of you that are old enough might remember a Carolina-Georgia game about 40 years ago. It wasn't the 84 win. So before that. When some interesting – back when the fraternities here at Carolina had a contest every week for the most creative banner, spirit banner. And it involved the nicknames of Georgia and Carolina in rather
lewd
creative ways. Yes, well, sure, yes. But y'all might remember that one. But I was just sharing that with Elijah because they made him take it down because Carolina was playing – I think it was on ABC. Might have been, let's see, it might have been 81 or 82.
Please tell me it made the broadcast.
Oh, it made the broadcast. I think that's why they had to take it down. We can't have this.
Again, file it into the folder of things that can only be said and presented in the city of Columbia, South Carolina.
Amen, brother.
Nowhere else.
That's right.
Makes this place 101, baby.
America. Whatever it takes.
Beautiful.
That's right. Let's get to John. I know John's not old enough. Man, John would have appreciated that one. How are you, sir?
Oh man, it's good to be. It's great to be a Gamecock after getting bowl eligible and winning 3 in a row. I'm trying to think. That probably would have been because 80 was the year we went down and lost the game when George fumbled.
Yes.
In
Yes.
Second and goal.
It was down low.
So
I forget exactly where, but it was down low. And George will tell you he had been hurt and he could barely feel his hand on that one. That was a tough day. Yeah, that's a tough day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't that one. I think it was the following season here. That's where my memory takes me.
Okay, then that would have been 81.
Yes.
Okay. So what was it that Eli said about them being playoff contenders? What was it he said about his words?
They're in the playoff hunt. They're still in the playoff hunt.
Yeah.
And he said, you heard me.
You heard it.
Yeah, he said, you heard me.
You heard me? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I hope he hears me. Eli is a tool, and we need to soundly spank his smug ass up and down field all night. And I don't usually condone this, but Carolina fans, I think if we win this game on Saturday, I think everybody at Carolina should salute Eli as he leaves the real Columbia with a two-gun salute, if you know what I'm saying. Let him know he's number one with both hands. Yeah. Only not the finger you're probably thinking of.
That one.
Well, they need that win. There's no question that it's time for South Carolina to beat Missouri again, regardless of how
without doubt
the opposing coach is treated.
Yeah, it's been since the 2018 game where Michael Scarnecchia had his one-hit wonder in the monsoon. But going back to the Vandy game, I agree with you, Jay. They have found something there. I think it was Jordan Rogers or was it I forget who it was in the studio that referred to them as the law firm of Sellers, Sanders, and Simon?
I didn't see that.
We have found something with that group, and I think that, usually you would be concerned if your wide receiver room is not being that productive, but when you have the productivity from the ground game like we're getting, and you have the productivity out of the tight end room, mainly Josh Simon that we're getting, I don't say you don't have to be concerned about it, but it's not as concerning as it would normally be in years past. And, I disagree with you fully on one thing, Jay. I want Diego Pavia to lose that lawsuit because that guy was as good as advertised, even in a 28-7 loss. I was on pins and needles the entire time until he got hurt late in the game. But what also was on full display and what also lived to the height and as good as advertised, that Carolina defense might be, if it's not the best, it's right up there with 2012 as being one of the best. That group is historic, it's special, and it's a group that you absolutely love going to the ballpark and seeing week in and week out. the disappointing thing is that so many of these guys are going to be lost to the draft or to graduation after this season. You just wish, like I saw Demetrius Knight's mom in Oklahoma, and I told her straight up, I wish we had him for more years, because this group, particularly D. Knight, who gets overlooked for how smart of a player he is, this group is something just so special and so fun to watch.
Well, they are, and look, this is what you're going to hang your hat on this season, and thank you, John, as always. We appreciate you, and we didn't talk about his other team.
Things are not going so chill in that regard.
My wife didn't even care about watching them yesterday.
I think for the rest of the year, that will no longer be appointment television.
Yeah, Cowboys. Yeah. David agrees with John. He says Carolina reminded the SEC on how to beat Vandy on Saturday. This defense is the best in the country. Can't change my mind. I won't try.
No, I don't think I have. I mean, I will accept maybe some other defenses, but there are few of them.
Yeah, I mean,
But there are very few. I mean, like, think about it. We talk about the pass rush all the time, and rightfully so, because two of the best pass rushers in this great nation exist on this football team between Kennard and Stewart, but the interior defensive line is having an elite season. TJ Sanders might be a first-round pick. I have seen a couple of CBS mocks that have had TJ in the first round. The linebacking crew, which Demetrius Knight specifically, with what John mentioned, is having an incredible season. Debo, as a run stopper, is having a phenomenal season. But we don't maybe talk about the secondary enough. Jay Phillips, they had 8 pass breakups on Saturday. Yeah. You know how many defensive pass interferences they were called for? None. At all.
No.
You know how hard that is to break up 8 passes to be like...
And you were down a starter.
And the guy who led you in pass breakups was the one who replaced your starting safety with Peyton Williams. He had 2 pass breakups. Oh, and then the rest of the team was credited with 6, all 6 of those different individuals.
Right. Kind of like the game when they had 9 at Oklahoma, right? 9 players, 9 sacks.
Yeah. You had 8 pass breakups with 7 different players. They can all cover. They can all stop the run. They can rush the passer. Yeah. This is probably, if we want to argue semantics, maybe not the best, but it's at least the most well-rounded.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. John, thank you as always. Let's get to Lester up next, and I think Lester has somebody with him. Hey, Lester, how you doing, bud?
Good. How y'all doing today?
Doing well.
Hey, first of all, I want to say I've always been a Beaver fan. Support him 100%. Think he's the man for the job. I'm loving the way the team playing right now. We winning both sides of the ball, playing clean. That's a big thing. I don't know how we cleaned up as fast as we did. But on the other side of the coin, I'm getting kind of nervous with Missouri coming to town. You know, they always got a number for some reason. We all got confident. Team flying high. We flying high. To me, it just seemed like it could be an easy trap game to fall into. Nobody really talking about them much. But just nervous about the game. And other than that, my son Braden here, he wants to say something. Yeah, baby.
Hi, everybody. Go Gamecocks.
There you go, Braden.
Love it. Yes, Braden. Yes.
Thank you, Braden. Braden, how old?
Have a good night.
How old is Braden?
Good, Braden.
I'm 6.
All right, man.
That's what I'm talking about.
There you go. Well, Braden, we're glad you called, man. Call anytime, okay?
He loved the Gamecocks and he hates Clemson, so I'm raising him up right.
There you are, indeed.
Starting them early.
There you go, Lester. Good stuff.
College football,
Thank
baby.
you, guys. Thank you, Braden. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Got to be the youngest caller ever. I think Braden just broke a record.
Might have. I can't.
He might be at least since I've been here, which is a year.
Yeah.
It's the youngest call we've had.
I mean, we've had
6 years
had
old.
some kids, but 6, man, that's young.
Braden just broke a record.
He did.
You know what the B in Braden stands for? Breaking records.
Nice. Look at what you did there. More of your phone calls and a drive around the SEC as the postgame show continues. Hey, let me tell you about our good friends at AAA Heating and Air. Listen, if you know you've got a really old system, like old, like you're not even sure how old it is, you just know it's old. AAA Heating and Air is ready to help you out here. Listen, you go to myoldair.com. Roy and Dana Finley going to give you a chance to win a brand new system. You see, with every 100 entries they get inside the AAA service area, they're going to draw a winner. All right, for every 100, they'll draw out a winner for a brand new system. You heard me right. Just go to myoldair.com. All the details are on the website. Very easy for you. Now, listen, beyond that, 803-677-1500. If you need some service, want to make an inspection for your heating system this time of year, great time to do it before it gets really cold, 803-677-1500 or myoldair.com. Stay comfortable all the time with AAA Heating and Air.
From the WIS Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell with just 2 accidents, thankfully, to get to you. Most of them from earlier have been cleared out, including one on 20 westbound over at exit 98. So on 20 westbound near exit 98, traffic's running much smoother through there, if I can get it out. But we still have an accident on 20 west, a little closer to Wilson Boulevard and exit 71, causing some minor traffic backup, as well as one on Decker Boulevard at 2 Notch Road.
It is Drive Around the SEC time on this Monday afternoon. Welcome back in. Jay and Elijah with you. what a day in the Southeastern Conference on Saturday. Ole Miss really taking it to Georgia. They kind of woke up, did the Rebels, and just at that point, Georgia just didn't know what hit them. Something's wrong at Georgia. I don't know what it is. It's not talent. It may be a few specific places. There is no Brock Bowers on that team. There is no Lab McConkey on that team, 2 of the top 40 picks in the draft last year. Beck is trying to do too much, and he can't. He's now got, what is he? I mean, he's at like 15 and 12 or something, isn't he?
In terms of touchdown interception ratio, it ain't good.
Yeah,
he's flirting with it being 1-1.
Yeah, it's not. But Ole Miss wins 28-10, and we'll come back around to the standings in a second. But Mississippi showed us a lot the other day. Again, they've been up and down. As I said many times when it came to the game here, I wanted to know what it would have been like for Carolina to play a full game, considering Kentucky had beaten Mississippi. But I've also made sure to say every time I mention that, they might have still won by 24 points. I don't know. I just never got to see a full Carolina, I think. Maybe we didn't see a full Georgia. Where's the Georgia that played in Austin? Where's the Georgia that beat Clemson? Because that's like the only 2 games. And yet, Georgia's 7-2. Georgia's pretty big favorite against Tennessee this weekend. It's in Athens. By the way, Georgia has played more road games than they have home games already this year. I mean, I guess they got 3 in a row to close out the year in Athens. Mm-hmm. But I'm not making an excuse for them. Yeah. But we knew going to Tuscaloosa and Oxford was going to be difficult, and Austin, and they went 1-2 in those. This year, you can afford that. In years past, you would not have been able to. But, I don't know what's going on. But I just don't think Georgia should have looked that bad.
Yeah. In terms of the roster, if we want to just point out to a roster makeup thing, really the only thing that I questioned coming into the year was a lack of downfield targets or playmakers down the field, a way to stretch an opposing defense or pressure them vertically. But last year they had a similar thing, right? Brock Bowers isn't necessarily taking the top off of defenses, but he was the easy button for first downs for the longest time and was a reliable target and can take over games by himself because of what he can do with the ball in his hands. This year, it just seems like the offensive line and defensive line they normally have that is normally dominant isn't dominant, and in some instances, it's bad. Like yesterday, that's a 5-star offensive line. That's an incredible build or collection of talent they have in the trenches, and it didn't matter. Ole Miss still whooped them up that entire game. That Ole Miss defensive line, which was expensive in its own right, mostly through different transfers, looked like the older, more physical team. That's the one thing that surprises me. There's Carson Beck struggling a little bit. Okay, 12 interceptions though. That's a lot.
Yeah,
but
let me get his.
It's troubling for Carson Beck right now. Sure, but I think a lot of it has to do just because the skill position players aren't anywhere near as good as required of them. Carson Beck regressed, and now your offensive line is just getting worn out in games against more physical teams. It's just a bad concoction overall of circumstances for Georgia.
12 picks, 17 touchdowns, not 50, 17 and 12.
It's kind of hoping we get to a 15 and 15. I call that half a Winston.
He's been sacked 14 times, still completing 65% of his passes. But it just there's something out there, and the run game too is not
dominant.
No, it's not. There's something off, and maybe that's just where we are in the grand scheme of college football this season. And I'm okay with that. So I'm not here to lament the fact that Georgia has lost twice. That's not my responsibility. Tennessee's going to have something. By the way, I just saw apparently didn't Tennessee a couple years ago? Some Tennessee fan put out Stetson Bennett's number, and they've done it.
Phone number,
they've done it to Carson Beck now. Now, for one thing,
that's lame.
Why you do that? I don't even know how that's funny.
It's not.
I don't even know how that's funny. I don't want to sound overly sanctimonious here. Good-natured rivalry and an opportunity, but that's why. No, I don't.
That's
but
harassment.
I just saw. Yes,
that's what it's doing. It's harassment.
Yeah, but I just saw it go by that Carson Beck's had to either change his phone number or something. But who? I don't know. I just whatever. Anyway, Carson Beck 17-12 so far this year. Texas all over Florida 49-17. That's all I got to say about that.
Thanks, Forrest Gump.
I mean, good luck to Florida next year because this, but
Texas scores a lot of points.
They do.
That's their thing.
Yeah.
Did you see the play, though, which might have been one of the coolest play designs I've ever seen? And I'm surprised Quinn Ewers didn't throw up because he got so dizzy from turning around so many times with fake handoffs that ultimately resulted in an Isaiah Bond reverse. Like faked a handoff, faked a pitch, and then turns around and hands it off to Isaiah Bond, who then picks up like a 20-yard gain or whatever. But it's one of the coolest play designs you'll ever see.
I'm glad they did it. Maybe they can do it again. I would not have done it against Florida.
Well, here's my thing, too. They disguise everything so well. You can see it on tape and still don't know it's good.
Yeah, that's probably true. But I wouldn't have done it against Florida. You're going to beat Florida without that. I'd have saved that one for College Station.
Unless you're not confident in the timing and it gets botched.
That's fair.
It's like using Florida as practice is something I think.
But they have practice. You can. That's one you rehearse. That's like the Rockettes. You got choreography and whatnot.
It's gonna be rehearsed a few times before it's displayed.
Get out on the kick line there and see what happens. Tennessee all over Mississippi State, 33-14. Nico Iamaleava and Dylan Sampson a little banged up in this one. Josh Heupel completely honest today at his presser when he says that both will be fine, right? Completely honest.
Maybe.
They'll be fine.
Because it wasn't, so when Nico left the game wasn't completely out of sight, out of mind. I mean, Mississippi State was still within,
Yes, it was.
Reaching ability.
No, they weren't.
Well, with that attitude, usually you end up losing those games.
Yeah, but not to Mississippi State in 2024.
I guess not.
Not this year.
I guess not.
Not this year. Tennessee was going to be. I told you they were going to be fine.
Oh, yeah.
But they didn't cover the spread.
They did not. But they were still fine.
Yeah, they're fine. But Nico's fine, right? Keep telling yourself.
Honestly, Dylan Sampson might be the more important one.
I would agree.
I'd say that's the more important injury to keep monitoring.
Again, we talked about the Missouri-Oklahoma game a few times. Just what a crazy ending in that one. 34 combined points in the fourth quarter, but again, 28 points in the final 3.5 minutes of the game. And a defensive score for each team in that span. But the game of the weekend was the one in Baton Rouge, and it ended up not even being a game. Alabama thoroughly dominating LSU 42-13. And honestly, I'll say it again because we say about a lot of games like this, it wasn't that close.
No, at all, because it's 42-6 until a garbage time touchdown.
Wasn't that close.
LSU knows quarterbacks can run the ball, right?
I don't think they do, man.
I don't think they do.
I think that's something that maybe, we talk about the point of emphasis of things every year that change, and I think that clearly they disseminated information that said a point of emphasis was that quarterbacks are no longer able to carry the ball past the line of scrimmage, and then when they can, LSU just seems to melt.
Because Alabama didn't just run all over them. I mean, the energy for LSU's defense was bad, but if I had to describe Alabama's energy, it was amber. They ran for 311.
Jalen Milroe, y'all, had 12 carries. For 185 yards, including a 72-yard score.
And not one, not two.
Not three.
Not even three. Four
touchdowns.
Rushing touchdowns. Again, LSU, are you aware that while quarterbacks may not be running backs on paper, they're allowed to carry the ball, meaning you're allowed to tackle.
You can tackle.
Yeah.
That is no rule against it. Like, not that I'm aware. They were pathetic.
180.
That was pathetic, man.
Yards.
I mean,
they gave up 311 rushing yards.
It was bad. I mean, every time you turned around, LSU scored just 2 field goals in the first half, and as Elijah said, they got a late score.
Shouldn't even count. If you're down like that in a game of that magnitude, where it's like a top 10 matchup, top 15 matchup, and the scores like that, and you get a garbage time touchdown, I'm all in favor of not letting it count. This is the score. You live with it, buddy.
I need to hit the break. We're going to come back, though, and as we said, we're going to start to talk a little bit about the chaotic scenes that could begin to unfold as the SEC attempts to pick 2 schools to play for the conference championship. Still a few weeks left, but we're going to start to talk about some of those scenarios when the postgame show returns.
The people that do the rankings don't think we're worth a crap, and that's fine. Keep crapping on us. That's the way we like it as well. Don't rank us this week. We're good where we are. We just like to just lay low and work really, really hard and come out and have fun on Saturdays as well.
Well, too late, Coach. You got ranked. And I think the CFP committee is going to rank you tomorrow night, too.
I reckon they will.
I think so. Real quick here, Oregon remains number 1, getting all 62 first-place votes. Ohio State is second. Texas 3rd, Penn State 4, Indiana up 3 spots, number 5. You go, Hoosiers. 10-0 for the first time in school history. That's
number 5, Indiana.
That's right.
In football.
In football. That's right. Tennessee is 6, BYU 7. Ooh, BYU.
They got lucky.
All right, so, okay, if y'all haven't seen it, I don't want to all right, was that defensive holding or not?
I wouldn't have called that.
I wouldn't have called it, but he did hold him.
It felt cheap.
Yeah. But I wouldn't have called it, but it was defensive holding. Because you can hold, again, you hear that all the time, right? Yeah, holding on every play, offense or defense.
Yeah.
Vandy got away with 1 hold on their offense, by the way. I forget who. I was like, oh, my God. I was watching yesterday. I was like, man,
egregious.
Look at that. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, my God. You
can't remember who was on or who was being held, but there was one
bad.
instance.
I was like, I remember watching it live, but I watched it again yesterday. Now I can't remember who it was. I was like, there, because it kind of went, I wasn't really thinking about it again. Anyway, BYU is up to number 7. But oof. Ugh. That was Utah's AD. Utah's AD like stormed the press conference.
Hijacked it.
Yeah. And was like, the Big 12 sucks. I don't want to be here. This is terrible. I mean, I'm not. He didn't really say that, but he kind of did.
He basically went full college football Reddit.
He threw the official. He called him unprofessional. It was bad, and he got fined $40,000.
As he should.
Yeah. Anyway, Notre Dame 8, Alabama 9, Ole Miss up 6 spots to number 10. Georgia is 11th. They dropped 9 spots.
Georgia's outside the top 10.
They didn't look good.
That's crazy.
Miami loses their first game of the year. Way to go, Georgia Tech. Ran all over the Hurricanes, who looked hapless. So they fall to 12. Boise is 13. SMU 14. A&M holds steady at 15. Army is up to number 16. That's cool, man. They're 9-0 as well. Clemson beats Virginia Tech by 10. They're up 2 to 17. Colorado 18. Good win over Texas Tech. Texas Tech's pretty good.
That's a good team.
Yeah.
It's kind of beating Iowa State on the road.
Wazoo is 19th, and K-State is number 20. LSU 21. Louisville 22. The Gamecocks into the poll for the first time this year at 23. Missouri is 24. They're here Saturday. And Tulane is number 25. Again, that's the AP poll. The CFP committee will put out their rankings tomorrow night. That'll be the ones that we're using.
Yes.
I expect South Carolina to be there. But we'll find out. I thought they'd be there last week, and I was wrong about that, so I better be careful. Our buddy Seth Emerson has a good piece out today at The Athletic looking at the SEC title game contenders and what they've got to do. The real easy scenario, as he points out, is right. Tennessee simply wins out. A&M wins out. Texas wins out. Then Tennessee would play the winner of the A&M Texas game. But Tennessee, as an underdog this weekend in Athens, should they lose, means there will be at least one 2-loss team playing for the Southeastern Conference Championship. UT has road games at Georgia and at Vanderbilt. I think they're going to split them because I do expect Georgia to be back this weekend. But if they're not, then, hey, more credit to Tennessee, and Georgia will have some thinking to do.
Yeah.
They might not go full clean house the way FSU did this weekend.
Have a Nixonian Saturday night
that was
firing, like what happened there. But have you seen the last time Georgia lost 2 games in a row? Who it was to?
No, but I'm going to assume Carolina's one of them.
Nope. That would have been 2016, Ole Miss and Tennessee in back-to-back weeks.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah.
A&M has Auburn at Jordan-Hare, and then again they host Texas. Texas, meanwhile, is at Arkansas, hosts Kentucky, and then at A&M. Be careful this weekend, right? Just be careful if you're UT going to Fayetteville.
Yeah, I mean,
this is Georgia's last conference game. So, again, this is it for UGA. Like the Gamecocks, they've got the end-of-the-year rival out of conference. So, Georgia will be playing its 8th conference game Saturday at home against UT. Bama is at Oklahoma, hosts Auburn. Ole Miss, 4-2 in conference play, is at Florida and hosts State. LSU has played just 5 games at Florida, hosts Vandy, hosts Oklahoma. if LSU doesn't give a darn this weekend, they're going to lose to Florida.
Yeah.
I don't expect it. But if they don't give a darn.
Maybe if DJ Lagway plays. Yeah. And, DJ Lagway is a quarterback who can run, and LSU, again, forgets they can do that.
Yeah. And even Missouri, again, with only 2 conference losses, at Carolina, at Mississippi State, hosts Arkansas. So South Carolina, again, end the Eli dream this weekend. But if Tennessee loses, we have even more chaos.
Yes.
So I'm here for it. In that sense, we'll find out. Ryan Brewer on tomorrow's program. Shane Beamer press conference tomorrow as well. And there's Carolina men's basketball tomorrow, too. We got a busy Tuesday coming at you. Happy Veterans Day. Hey, is a new set of wheels in your future here in the next few weeks, or maybe a gift for that special somebody this holiday season? No better place than Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union to finance your next vehicle. Great low rates on new to 21 models. Great options for older vehicles as well. Many plans with no payments for up to 90 days. And the process of getting this done at Palmetto Citizens is so very easy. Really impressed with what my family did a few years ago with Palmetto Citizens, and we think you will be too. If you're getting a new vehicle, they can finance over 100% of the retailer purchase price, and they offer additional coverage and insurance options dealerships simply can't beat. So get out there on the lot all around town. Shop for that next vehicle, whatever it might be. Then log on to palmettocitizens.org or stop into any of their 14 convenient Midlands locations and find out how much you can save. Great people to work with. Take my word for it. We're members, my wife and I. palmettocitizens.org.